Hi there.
Hey,
How are you, Curtis?
I'm doing excellent.
Excellent. Welcome, everybody. I'm Jesse Arnold. This is Shooting the Shelf on Just Shelve It with my wonderful co-host, Curtis Ackerman. I already asked you how you're doing, didn't I?
Yeah, I'm still doing
Okay.
good though.
All right, good. That was
Yeah.
a dangerous couple seconds there. Oh, what's up, David? What's up, Joe? Thanks for joining, fellas. And ladies, and everyone who joins on the repeats or catches this part after it's live. I don't know how that works. Anyway,
Cats, dogs, animals,
yes,
aliens,
cats and
anybody?
dogs living together.
Mass hysteria.
Yeah, I'm a little out of it tonight, so yeah, yep, that's me today in the spotlight.
Interesting.
We're gonna do a digital welcome of warmness. All right, we'll let that be what it is. We've got the one and only Oz from Ozstradamus Toyz joining us this evening on the shelf.
What's going on, fellas? So glad to be here. My first time on this side of Shooting the Shelf.
It is good to have you here.
How you been?
Oh man, getting tired. A little rundown, but still here and still going.
Yeah, you've been pretty busy lately.
Yeah. I don't think there's been a weekend where I haven't done a show on like Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, or not all three. I don't know. I've been everywhere all over YouTube lately.
You're just like you're like the Curtis of YouTube toy reviewers. Like you're inevitable. You're like, was that Ray Stevens song, the squirrel, he's everywhere, or whatever that was.
I love those videos.
Well, we got quite a few people in chat. We got David, Joe, Dorclair, Carol, Arthas, J Mac, Steve-O. I am TJ Williams and Sean. So appreciate everybody that's joining us live and anybody that watches on replay.
And Cobb down there in the
see Cobb just popped
rounding
in.
out the bottom of the ninth. I don't sports metaphor.
Yeah, you should probably stay away from those.
I promise I am not on any sort of medication, illegal, illicit, or otherwise.
I do have some doggy CBD in front of me that I could try some of that.
Hey, the only difference.
Pretty sure you just got the alphabet backwards there, but
all right.
The only difference
you want to get to shelf selections? Let's take a look at some cool art.
Yes. Shelf slow. Oh my god.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You can English good.
I have the dumb tonight.
All right. This one is Way of Mandalay. Manslay? Is that what it is? I can't remember. Mandalay.
Way of Mandalay.
Who wants to mess with this goblin here? I mean, normally goblins are kind of, small. I don't want to say cartoonish, but kind of silly. But this guy, yeah, he's jacked. You don't want to mess with him.
Yeah, he's been eating his spinach. We've got Mephitor, however you say it. He's a swale goblin. This is a swole goblin.
This is all the swole goblin. That's true. Yeah, I thought this whole setup and the custom itself is great, but then the setup and the pictures and everything behind him, I just love this. It's awesome.
I know this goblin's only like 4 inches tall, 5 inches tall, but I feel like he's bullying me through this picture. It's wonderful.
It's like what is it, like little man syndrome, where you just get all jacked up and stuff and then start fights with everybody because you're short.
Napoleon complex, Chihuahuas.
Yeah. Yep. But great shot. Awesome custom, great shot.
That's just what I was thinking about, the Chihuahua syndrome.
Yeah. We're so small and shaky and terrified that we just have to act like we're 85 times bigger than we are. But this guy doesn't have.
Do you know what figure that is?
I believe that is a Gladiator Hulk, or from the 3 3/4 Marvel Universe line.
Oh, okay. It kind of looked like a Hulk Ragnarok,
Yeah.
but I mean, I've not seen that size figure. I didn't even know they had a 3 3/4 inch line.
They did. It's been done for quite a while.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
It's pretty cool though. I like that body.
Bunch of new folks jumping in. Radical Toys, Nevos 51, Mark Rivera, Mike Casper. I was going to say Ozstradamus is here, but yeah.
He's doubling up.
You got to watch out for that guy in the chat. He's nothing but trouble in there.
I saw the green and purple, and at first I thought it was Skelevator. And this one I meant to have in my picks last week, but with as many pictures as they take during the week of stuff that is cool, I missed grabbing it. Dad with Hobbies on Instagram, Austin, he did this. This was a tribute to his son. And I believe someday last week was I don't remember what the day was. I don't know if it was a Down syndrome day or something, but this was in tribute to his son, that he had someone sculpt the face for him and he painted up. And I just thought that was a really cool way to honor a kid. And I just love everything about this custom.
Yeah, I mean, if you see pictures of his son and then the sculpt, like the sculptor did an amazing job. The paint job is awesome. I love the whole custom. I mean, blue and gold is, you can't get much cooler than that. It's very regal looking, and yeah, this whole thing came together very nicely. So great tribute, great sculpt, great paint. Yeah, I just love this whole thing.
Absolutely.
There's one. Drink, everybody. All right. This is our very own Joe Gonzalez, Joe G Customs. I think we had one of his from last week too. And just another amazing one from him. This is the General from Wolf King Customs. I'm not sure what pauldrons those are. But
sure.
I love the use of soft goods. I love the total look. The scar came out great. There's two versions of the General. There's the one with just the normal eye patch, and then one with the eye patch with the cross on it. So he's done the one with the cross here, and it just came out amazing. I've been working on that head and trying to get that scar right myself, and that's not an easy task, but I think it looks amazing here. And yeah, just great job overall.
Oh, Joe bringing the knowledge. Man, Curtis, you got to get up to date on your product line.
From Wolf King Custom. Oh, yeah. Okay. I think that's the is that the Corruptarians one? Maybe. I don't know. I just haven't I haven't used those, so yeah, Corruptarians. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, Joe did a great job with that. I've seen a couple people do this head, and everybody does a little bit something different with that scar. This one makes me like crawl in my skin. So
yeah,
if that's what you're going for, good job.
Yeah, this one looks fresh. I've seen some people do ones that are kind of aged and it's a little bit more skin tony, but this one looks like super fresh. And I remember when we were actually doing the sculpting session on that, like part of what I referenced when I was talking to Emil was that scene in Walking Dead where Negan puts the iron on the dude's face. And yeah, this really looks like that. It
was magic, right? The scar was caused by magic.
Yeah, it was in the story. The orc shaman kind of threw like a magic fireball at him, and it clipped the side of his head.
The idea that maybe this isn't fresh, and that because it was magically caused, that like it never heals, so it's just always raw. And since he doesn't like magic, it will never go away.
That's cool.
You know who I see playing this in a movie?
Mm-mm.
Kurt Russell.
I can see that.
I see Curtis playing him in a movie.
I could be in a movie. I don't know. I'm everywhere else. So
let's do it.
You are inevitable. All right, moving on. Next one. The amazing Nikki Nicole from Nikki Nicole Customs on Instagram. This is largely just a basic the current deluxe builder or deluxe Legion builder dwarf body with a custom head that I believe was from Planetary Dogs. I just really love the color combo on the head sculpt there with that blue and orange. Gives off a Beastman type vibe just with the color scheme, but like it's definitely its own thing.
Yeah, I honestly don't know what's going on here. Like, is that skull thing a mask and there's another head underneath that, or
I
is
don't
that
think when I looked through her pictures, there was just different angles on this, and I know he has some that have the masks that lift up, but they don't have the beard attached usually. And I know he did like a vote sometime a couple months ago with different shapes with different types of horns coming out. So I think there's a face under the mask, but I don't think it's like a removable.
Oh, gotcha.
Like I think it's like a sculpted on faceplate.
Yeah, I'm looking at a little video that she did now. Yeah, you can see like there's like human eyes underneath of it, and then I guess on the back of the head you can see the scalp and stuff. So yeah, it does look like it's a helmet, but it's not removable. But that's cool. From this picture, I couldn't tell that there was a human under that. I'm like, is it a skull with a beard or what's going on here? But yeah, that's cool.
We got Sean and Don joining us. So try saying those names twice in a row. Back. Moving on.
Yeah, this was my selection. I talked about this a little yesterday on the Saturday Day Live show with Eric LeBron and Hedgehog and Ryan Gonzalez. But this is from Ryan. Apparently, this is the setup here is a Crashbox Customs that they did for Legion's Con a couple years ago, which I've never seen before with the whole staircase and stuff. But I just love the scene that he set up here. You know, he said the story behind this was kind of that like Dubon was like infiltrating their castle or whatever and trying to get some information, and he's not really looking for a fight, but he's prepared for one. And when I look at this picture, that's kind of what I see here. Like he's hiding in the shadows behind the corner. He's not looking to be seen, but he's ready for action if he needs to. You've got the light coming in from the window, which is a nice touch. Yeah, just all in all, I think this is just a really cool shot.
Absolutely.
So,
that's two. All right, we're gonna have to figure out a way to have like a count tracker for
an absolutely
for our catchwords. Yeah. Moving on. Unless, sorry, Oz, do you have anything? Oh man, I'm hitting the wrong.
Yeah, you're just going blowing ahead.
No, I just saw this the other like yesterday, and I was like, oh man, that is epic right there. One shot, everything you need to know about the story right there.
Yeah.
Love it.
So good. Okay. This is from my buddy Douglas Tupper, another member of the Cabal, goes by the Kung Fu Jedi on Instagram. These are some of the extreme set cardboard pop-up dioramas that he's got lit up. I'm not sure what that figure is, but I think those are pretty.
Cardboard pop-up diorama.
Yep.
Wow, that looks nice for cardboard.
Yeah, they're a little expensive. I mean, for cardboard, but they're nice. Like, so when people were complaining about the cardboard in the Rancor, I'm like, I just dropped like $65 on one that looks like the inside of Castle Grayskull, and it's nice. But they've got all sorts of styles. But yeah, I love this. I love this pose. He was excited about getting that this particular one, and it's one of the space sets.
Space Command, I think it is.
I think this one is called Sector 3. One side it's clean and metallic, maybe a little grungy, and the other side it's like it's been crashed or it's been abandoned, and there's like vines and stuff growing over it.
Is that 1/12 scale?
They do them both. They do them 1/12 and 1/18 scale.
Yep,
gotcha.
It's extreme sets pop-up dioramas. They're pretty cool. They've got one that looks like.
Son.
Oh yeah, which one?
It was like City Streets way back years ago.
Okay.
And that became our Gotham City.
Okay. Yeah, I've got one of it was like the Crazy Streets or Psychotic Alley or something like that, and that's behind my Ninja Turtles, the NECA Ninja Turtle movie ones, and then I've got one that's like the inside of Castle Grayskull. I think it's just called like Castle Dungeon, but it's the green of Castle Grayskull.
Yeah.
There's one that's like the orange computers in the rock, so it's like the inside of the rock or the arc for Transformers. Lots of cool different ones.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at this on Big Bad Toy Store right now. 1/12 scale, Sector 7.
I have that one.
$80.
Like,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it takes a little effort. Some of the directions in them don't really tell you how to put them together. Like there's some that like are 2 stories where it's like a separate building with like a roof in between. And they're a little, I had to look up videos on YouTube. Thank goodness for YouTube. But yeah, so this one really jumped out.
Oh yeah, here's Sector 3, and that one's a little bit. It's $10 more. It's $90, but yeah, that's cool stuff.
But they're really cool. And Douglas is a fun photographer. Whenever he goes on trips, he always takes some sort of figure with him, and he's always staging them. But I thought this one jumped out at me this week. So cool. Shout out to the Kung Fu Jedi. Up next from you, Curtis, or your pick.
This is Articulated Times, and just an amazing shot of that Xenothon figure. Flying through in all his majesty. The Lord of the Sky, Stratos. I love this pose. The light in the background, and he's just got the one leg that's a little bit higher than the other, and he's just kind of, I don't know, just that flight pose there. You don't see the flight stand or any of that. It's just I don't know, just majestic as heck. So
it literally looks like 2 towers. It's like, look on the 3rd day, look to the east or whatever. And instead of Gandalf, you just see him like cresting the top of the hill on his wings, as the sun peeks over. Like, yeah, this is an epic shot.
Beautiful. Plus, who doesn't love Stratos? I mean, come on.
I mean,
only one person I know does not love Stratos. Joe Amato.
Another one from Brian C, aka CB Make on Instagram. I believe this was the same sculptor who did the head for Austin's son. I think I could be wrong, but I believe it's Blue D sculpture or something like that. But yeah, I love the Rankin and Bass Hobbit movie and the Return of the King. So when I saw this head, I was so excited to see what he was going to do with it, and using those Varg arms on a Bardrick torso and everything. I just really love the way that figure turned out. Like, and I feel like that would fit with Legions, even as exaggerated of a head that is.
Yeah.
Style wise, I think you could put that on your Legion shelf and it would fit in.
Yeah, it looks like you could fit that in, especially within the kind of goblin ranks.
Oh yeah.
So,
like every time I see it, I just hear the song start playing in my head. Absolutely love it. And I think, is that it? That is it for our shelf selections this week.
There you go.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks for everybody coming out. And we got more show to do.
Look, I know I'm struggling tonight. Don't give up on me. It's only 19 minutes in.
Wait a minute. We don't have to stream for 6 hours at a time?
No, we usually only do it for about 2.
Yeah, we're not as extreme as you are. So,
mistakes were made.
Where that song too, Brick. Yeah, all the songs, all the orc songs, down to Goblin Town.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was a fun. Like, it's such a giddy, happy thing right before something so terrible.
Yeah. When the Goblin King's coming up and his mouth just opens like ridiculous as he's walking towards the dwarves, and then Gandalf appears in the dark. Come on, that's just
good times.
Yes.
Good stuff.
So speaking of times, Oz, you dabble in the toy world, in the toys. It's something you're mildly interested in, I take it. I mean, looks like you went all out to really try to make sure we knew that with that shelf back there, just for tonight's show. So I really appreciate that.
So what kind of things? I know you're a big MotU guy, and you've kind of started to get into Legions, but what are all things do you collect?
Well, I mean, MotU's what got me from a kid. So having new Masters of the Universe toys now is really, really great because I have a son that I get to share it with. But other collections for me, I've been back and forth on Star Wars like 1,000 times over the last 20 or so years. Because that was one of my other very big fandoms as a kid. And I'm into Venom from Marvel, always have been, since I was really young. And also just, man, really, really enjoyed Alien and Predator. That's my other big one.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, what you don't see, because it's all packed away in boxes right now, is a ton of NECA Alien and a handful of Predator figures. I even got some Terminator stuff because it was in a lot that I bought, so I can get a bunch of other things. But yeah, that's another huge one for me. And as a matter of fact, what the Mystery Machine is sitting on is my son's toy drawer that has the entire Kenner Aliens and Predator line from the 90s.
Wow.
Nice.
All of it.
Now, didn't Mezco do like a Predator? Did you get that one?
No, certain ones I have to really pass on. It took me a long time to get into NECA just because of the price. For a long time for me is like really liked them, but I held off. And, then when I could, I bought a bunch of it, but I actually haven't bought any new NECA or Alien stuff in several years. Cause again, all that stuff's been packed away in the basement. The idea was that I was going to build a huge hive diorama.
Ooh.
So I've got Marines, eggs, face huggers. I've got some drones, some warriors. I've got even a couple runners.
Well, just in case you're interested, because I was taking a look on Big Bad Toy Store, they've got an Ahab Predator 1/4 scale statue, only $1,924. So
only,
yeah,
man.
So it's on pre-order right now, so you can order as many as you need to. So
I'm gonna get like 6 of them.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Just right behind my Cosmic Legions pre-order.
I am not one that has statue money. Like some people have statue money. I don't have statue money. I got figure money, but
I barely got figure money. So
I barely got figure money, but I don't have statue money.
Statue money doesn't go anywhere. It just stays there.
Yeah.
So you said you've liked Venom since you were little or something to that effect. So like clearly that means Curtis and I are a little bit older than you. So there's a bit of a gap there. It's not a huge gap, but there's a bit of a gap. How did you get into He-Man at that point in time?
Ever since I can remember, I've had He-Man toys. As a matter of fact, my sister, she had sent me a bunch of pictures, and on one of the earlier episode Toy Frenzy, we were showing off some of those where I'm like 2, maybe 3 years old, and I am like all in on He-Man everywhere. My dad's building me my Battle Bones. I've got the model kit of the Talon Fighter, not the actual Point Dread and Talon Fighter toy, but the model kit version with the red canopy. Yeah, like I just had a huge, like a ton of that stuff. I don't know, maybe it was all going on clearance or something at the time, because I know other pictures from around that time are of myself meeting He-Man at our local video store because the Masters of the Universe movie came out. So I know the pictures are like around 1987. But yeah, it's always just been huge in my life. I fell in love with it. Even as a young child, it's like I do remember even being amazed at the imagery just on the card arts themselves. And that stuck with me my entire life because, because of that, I've been a huge Boris Vallejo fan and, of course, Frank Frazetta as well. And it pulled me fully into the fantasy world. And that was even before I started getting more into comics and then realized all of the Fourth World elements with Jack Kirby. I didn't realize that until I was a little bit older. But yeah, something about Masters just stuck with me and pulled me in. And then it goes on the back burner as, it quiets down and you don't hear about it and you don't see it as much. And then the Mike Young production version came out and I was like, what is this? New He-Man? This is amazing. And I was sad that didn't stick around as long as I'd hoped. And of course, at that point, being a young adult, you have absolutely zero money because it's going to bills and everything else.
That series is very underrated. Like, I to this day, it's my favorite He-Man series.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a lot of twirling weapons, so you gotta be able to make it through the twirling weapons. But story-wise, it's just so good. Like, some of those episodes were fantastic. I wish we would have got into like the Horde and stuff, and instead of more of the Snake vibe, and they kind of lingered on that Snake part a little bit.
I love the snakes because I'm a huge fan of reptiles in general as well.
Mhm.
Dragons, dinosaurs, all amaze me. So naturally, like scaly creatures in the actual world impress me and amaze me.
Mhm.
So I didn't mind the Snake Man faction. I was all about it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great that we got as much of that as we did. And
Oh,
there
yeah.
was more of a story to it than just the handful of mini comics or the appearance here and there in Filmation Shira of Ratlore and Tongue Lasher being Horde members too, which was odd to me.
Yeah, I like that they fleshed out a lot more of the characters too. You got some individual stories, like the Stinkor episode was really good. Kind
One
of
my
more
faves.
about him. And then, at the same time, you had like the comic series. I don't know if I'm sure you probably have read it, the Icons of Evil.
Yeah.
Those.
Man,
that one with Trapjaw is just so good. Like, it really, fleshes out that story of how he became Trapjaw, and it's just fantastic.
It helps measure up that dynamic of, because Trapjaw's always been like this, he's been a bit of a badass, and you never had any explanation from how he got the mechanical jaw or how he got the techno arm and everything like that,
or why he follows Skeletor,
right?
So to see Skeletor just whoop his ass, like, that was
even him be a part of Skeletor's original army and follow Keldor and then be like, well, why aren't we doing this? We were all gung-ho. Like, why are you just sitting here in the Dark Hemisphere? Why aren't we marching on Eternia and trying to figure out something? So the fact that he rebelled against Skeletor and then Skeletor is like, look, I have this much power. If I wanted to, we'd be doing this, but I've got to figure out a way because even I know I'm not strong enough to break down that barrier.
Yeah.
So that was really, really cool to see. And again, like you said, it really fleshed out the stories a lot more.
Well, and it helped to make Skeletor not seem as, much of a buffoon as he did kind of in the Filmation series. And don't get me wrong, I see people in the comments and stuff. I'm not dogging Filmation. I love Filmation. It was just good to see a different take on it, from the comics there with the Icons of Evil. In the 2000X, it just kind of felt like Skeletor had a little bit more bite to him.
Definitely did.
Cool. I mean, I don't know how he has bite. I mean, he's got no muscles to articulate his jaw. So, I mean,
he's got no vocal cords either, but he still talks. I mean, I don't question these things. There's magic involved.
Yeah, it's a magic world, Jesse.
Magic can't explain everything.
Magic explains everything.
Aren't you a Lord of the Rings fan?
Yeah, magic is a very limited effect in Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay.
It's very powerful, but it's not how most of the people deal with problems.
No, you just wait 3 movies, in dire straits, and then finally get the bird to fly you there. Because
we've now entered into
just had the bird fly you there right at the beginning to
heal portion of the episode.
Yeah, like, you couldn't just in the first movie say, "Hey, bird, fly me here and let me throw this ring into this pit." You had to wait till the end of the 3rd movie and then go, "Oh yeah, we've got birds."
I'm not taking the bait. I'm not taking the bait.
Look, as much as you complain about that in the movie, remember that was a book before it was a movie, okay?
Yep.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Oh, someone's commenting, or a tongue even. I mean,
That's because
he did make out in what is it?
Or lips.
Revolution or whatever the Kevin Smith series is. He made out with Evelyn and she just like licked his teeth or something. It was so weird.
Hey man, she's with him long enough that I mean that's, you know, whatever does it for you, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I just figured she was really into skulls or something, you know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I like how Sean jinxed Sean in the chat.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's even...
Oh my god, Sean.
Nice.
Oh, good times. I see a couple more people joined. Brick's here, Bobby's here, Sergeant Slaughterhouse.
So good to see so many familiar faces.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So what about the Venom part? Like what? Because I know for me, like my first thing that I saw in that kind of storyline was the Secret Wars Spider-Man, and I knew nothing of the story. Like I wasn't reading the comics at that time, and I just saw this black suit Spider-Man, and I was like, dude, this thing looks fantastic. And I just assumed, you know, Peter Parker got a new suit. You know, I didn't know like the whole story behind it, but I thought it was badass looking. But then once I read the comics and found out that, you know, kind of the alien nature of it, and then obviously that then goes off into the Venom portion, it was like even cooler. But that was kind of my first kind of vision of that. What about you? Like, what got you into liking Venom?
Well, some of the first comics I ever remember looking at, aside from the ones that came with He-Man, was some of McFarlane's issues of Spider-Man. As a matter of fact, there was one in particular with the lizard that I used to get from the library all the time. And as I just got older and I got kind of more into reading comics, a good childhood friend of mine, Carl Kondracki, I saw this issue of Venom Funeral Pyre issue 1, and it had like the hollow foil back cover, Venom swinging down, you know, with his tongue hanging out of his mouth and all these teeth, and the Punisher, you know, jumping down in it. And it was the Tom Lyle was the artist at the time, who in my mind is one of the most talented Spider-Man and, you know, Venom artists of all time. Like, he was the one that was drawing that miniseries, and I was like, who is this? And when did Spider-Man get like this? So he kind of told me about who Venom was, and then I started looking at like Maximum Carnage, and then I looked into the history of the black suit. And I remember going to a flea market, and they had like a big bound edition of Secret Wars, and I saw how Spider-Man got the costume. So I was all about this black costume and what it could do, and it was great. And the dynamic between Eddie Brock and the symbiote, you know, because at the time he didn't have an inner monologue with the symbiote himself. He would talk to himself and respond to himself without the symbiote saying anything.
You're saying symbiote wrong.
Oh, okay. Whatever.
No, from the trailer in the movie.
I know. F that.
Okay.
Movie.
Yes.
F
no,
that
I know.
Pronunciation.
Like, who did they not like run that by anybody first?
You know, when you're making your own Marvel movies without consulting with Marvel, things just slip through.
What did you think of those movies?
The Venom movies, I think, are fantastic. I actually really enjoy them. Morbius, not so much. I didn't care for it. I was all in about it at first. I thought it was going to be great, and just, I don't know. By the end of it, I was kind of like, this fell flat. I was expecting like, I don't know. I was expecting more, and it just seemed like a very generic vampire movie. I felt like I think it would have been better.
Jesse and I were in a group earlier. We were kind of talking about, you know, different shows and movies and your expectations going in. And I think, you know, Morbius and even the Venom movies for me, like I have much lower expectations than what I do for, let's say, an MCU movie.
Yes.
So I tend to enjoy them a little bit better because I can just sit back and, enjoy the parts that I like and not the parts that I don't like. And so even Morbius, I found some, enjoyment. I found some giggles in it and stuff. But it's because my expectations aren't very high, whereas,
right.
I go into like a Thor Love and Thunder and I'm completely let down. So, I did feel like the first movie I really liked, Venom. The second movie was not quite as good, but it was still, enjoyable. It still had a lot of good moments. So
I was really shocked to see how many of like Carnage's greatest hits they managed to fling into a movie. Like from the point where they did that whole USA Carnage where he managed to infect the internet, like teleport through the camera. I was like, wait, they managed to shoehorn that into this movie and make it work somehow? Okay, whatever, I'll buy it. I'm in, because I'm impressed that they even decided to touch that.
Yeah,
that's like one of those things that like they do it in the comics and you're just like, why would you do this? And so here we're going to a complete transference of media where they try to make things seem a little bit more believable, and they're like, nope, we're putting Carnage through the internet. He's going to teleport through a security camera. And they were like, all right, let's do it. I'm not going to question it. Go for it, guys, please.
Hey, whatever.
If you don't take yourself as seriously as a comic takes itself seriously, you're going to do just fine.
I oddly liked the humor in them more than anything else. Like the scene where he walks into the restaurant and climbed into the lobster tank in the first one. Like I lost it when I saw it. And then the way they bring in
he started eating the meat off the plate and he's like, this is dead.
Yeah. and the whole part in the second one with the new husband or the fiance for what's her name, like how he kept getting brought into it, I thought was great.
Yeah. So I really like that, and I hope they keep doing more with it because Tom Hardy is killing it as Eddie Brock, and they've got a really good dynamic down for him and the symbiote, and it really excites me that they managed to capture that so well, because I got to be honest, I was a little worried being such a big fan of Venom that I was not going to enjoy it. Like my love of that character, and again, more specifically the Eddie Brock Venom than the other renditions, like the Mac Gargan Venom. Like I was really worried that I was not going to enjoy the movie. I was still willing to give it a shot from the start because I wanted to see Venom on the big screen desperately after Topher Grace's Venom in Spider-Man 3. I mean, that look was cool for a translation into a movie. Sure, I get the idea behind it, but
I like the whole the bell tower, and that part of it was cool.
Yeah. I just had a hard time believing Topher Grace is a credible villain after seeing him as Eric Foreman for so long.
Well, yeah, and like even in the comics, like Eddie Brock is kind of a bigger dude. Like he's not,
he's an Olympic class lifter without the symbiote. And you got Eric Foreman to play him? No,
this is true.
The only thing I liked about Topher Grace playing him, and I'm not blaming him for any of it, it was, but was how he was kind of like a direct analog to Peter. Like he was very much like the cooler version of Peter, without being a bangs in his face jackass walking down the street strutting and finger gunning all the girls.
Hey man, that's a great scene though. That's a great scene.
That's just not, that was not well phrased. Sorry.
Well, just Tobey Maguire was such a good Peter Parker. You really need to find good people to surround him with as far as creating, again, a dynamic here with. So you're going to have Eddie Brock directly interact with Peter Parker. That's kind of a big deal here, because even in the comics, there was no association prior to the introduction of Venom between really Eddie Brock and Peter Parker. That was something that they brought in later, where it was like, okay, this ties into why he hates Peter and Peter is Spider-Man and everything else kind of thing. So to introduce that into a movie where it had no real basis to go off of, you were like, we found this one nerd who's like 2 shades cooler than Peter Parker, kind of making it successful, where Peter himself is a bit of a loser. And yeah, just then all of a sudden, Peter goes and blows up his spot. And he's like, dude, you're a fraud. Like, you're trying to be cool, but you stole my stuff.
I wish they. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I wish they would have done it more where they as you're starting to dislike Peter because the attitude change he's getting with the suit, that like they made you more sympathetic with Brock. So by the time he does do the Photoshop tweak, the plagiarizing it or whatever, like you're on his side with like, oh man, he really needs to do this to survive. Like they could have made that a little, because like you were already annoyed with Peter at that point.
Yeah.
So be annoyed with both of them. Then he just goes to the church and he's like, God, I want you to kill Peter Parker. And I'm like, did your daddy not buy you a pony for your 16th birthday, dude? Like that's like it just didn't quite jive. If they would have set up, how like everything was depending on him landing this. So he's like, all right, I'm gonna compromise my beliefs just because I got to do this.
Yeah, he didn't have any sort of internal struggle that would have been nicer to.
Yeah.
It would have been better if they had gone and done it over several movies. Introduction of the Eddie Brock character.
Mm-hmm.
First off, we're all going to get excited if you just drop Eddie Brock working at the Daily Bugle. Like, we're going to get excited. He doesn't have to be Venom yet. There doesn't even have to be an inkling of the symbiote. Just drop Eddie Brock in there as a co-worker.
Right.
And build this animosity. And then, like Jesse said, make Peter this complete and total douchebag, like out of nowhere, and have him start crapping on Eddie for like a movie or two.
Yeah.
Let Pete have the symbiote for a
that's
couple
like when I was watching the Keaton Batman, right? And they had what's the dude's name that shit.
In the first one?
Yeah, they had played Harvey Dent.
Billy D. Williams?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh shit, that's gonna turn into Two-Face.
Yeah.
Now they didn't, like, when they went into that movie and ended up doing Two-Face and they switched to Tommy Lee Jones, then they kind of lost that excitement, because I was like all excited for, a Billy D. Williams Two-Face. But you're right. Like it was one of those where it's like, that person's name and what's going to be coming. So you don't actually have to pay it off right then and there. You can kind of slow play it a little bit. And I think that would have probably worked. So
did you ever read the Batman 89 comic?
Yes.
Where they followed up with the Harvey Dent becoming Two-Face in the world of the, it's cool.
It's a really cool comic series.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna need to grab that one when I can.
It's like a 5 or 6 issue miniseries, like a year or two ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Shouldn't be too hard to find in a graphic novel form, then.
Yeah. If you can't find it, let me know. I have a place.
Well, and that's one of the things. Like, if you're really into fandom and then they go to make a movie or TV series about the thing that you like, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Because you're happy because they're making something, but you're also like really nervous that they're going to screw it up,
Yes.
And, as a MotU fan, I understand that as, kind of when they go into new things, whether it's a new toy line, whether it's a new movie, new TV show, whatever it is. So I could see, kind of with Venom, the same kind of thing. I'm sure, Jesse, when they put out, Rings of Power, kind of had that, like, you're like, man, I'm excited. I want more of this, but don't mess it up. Like, don't ruin it for me, kind of thing. So I usually lean towards, hey, I just want more content. Even if you mess it up, like, at least I'm getting something. I'm going to appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah,
just keep it coming kind of thing, because as long as we're breathing life into it, there's always an opportunity for greatness. Like I feel right now we're getting a lot of that with where Masters of the Universe is. So keep breathing life into it, keep supporting it, and hopefully it'll keep continuing.
Yeah.
Like I'm a longtime Turtles fan. Like I missed out on the comics. I was a little bit too young to pick up on those, but of course the cartoon and the movie got me into it.
Oh yeah.
But I haven't followed every iteration over the past 30 whatever years. But this new one, when I first heard Seth Rogen was doing, I was like, I don't know. And then I saw some of the designs. I'm like, nah, I don't know. I saw the trailer on the RCX screen when I saw Dungeons and Dragons yesterday. I'll circle back to that in a second. I was like, I really want to see this movie. I just love the energy it has. Like some of the characters may not look the way I'd prefer them, but like I've got my ultimate versions that I like seeing. So the personality is coming across in a way that I like it. So with D&D, I was super nervous about this movie coming out because it's such a big world. It can be almost anything because there's how many individual games for the past 50 almost years. And, everybody has their own unique take. And I thought they really landed really well with that movie to give people who are players enough like little nods here and there. Kind of like the Morlocks or the Murlocs in World of Warcraft movie. Like that was a nice little nod.
Yeah.
But I feel like there wasn't enough of that in that movie.
Well, that's why I was hoping
there's a lot of stuff.
To get more Warcraft movies. I was really hoping to see more because I actually really enjoyed that movie. I thought it was fun.
I thought it was good. It was a good setup if you were going to do several Warcraft movies.
Yeah.
It was a good setup for that. Being is that we only got one and we're probably only going to ever get one. I wish they would have done it different. If it was going to be a one and done, give me everything. Give me Draenei, give me Night Elves, give me, you know what I'm saying? Like just go crazy. Don't just do humans and orcs. But and the other thing is that for folks that aren't, as into it, if they're just going to watch a movie and they don't know anything about the property, I think you could have made a more interesting single standalone movie. But I mean, being as that's all we got, I appreciate it for what it is. And I do love what we got. And there's some scenes in there, the whole scene with the fight with Gul'dan. It's like, man, that thing is just epic. I could watch that thing over and over again, but it's one of those, it's kind of like, I get irritated when I see these Star Wars fans that are just shitting on everything. Like, they hate Boba Fett and they hate, Kenobi and they hate this and that. And it's like, dude, at least you're getting stuff,
Yeah, right.
I mean, if you get a whole series of Kenobi that you don't like, but you get that one fight scene between him and Vader where Vader gets half of his mask cut off and it's like this great epic scene, just appreciate that. Like appreciate that you're getting something, because there's a lot of properties out there where people get nothing. Like they're holding on to something from 30 years ago and they get nothing. So I don't know. That was that was my rant for the night.
What was it? The Kangaroo Warriors? I'm sure there's somebody waiting for that to make a comeback, right?
Yeah. Street Sharks.
Yeah. But like I think D&D I don't know if either of you have gotten to see it yet, but
not yet.
It lands, I think, enough references for players. Like there's some things in there and they might change some wording a little bit that like it's obvious as a player you say it a certain way, but in the world it might not, like you're not going to flat out say the technical name of the spell the way it is in the spell book or whatever. You might word things a little different, but then for people who don't know it, I think it's an easy accessible enough. There's all this other stuff that makes you go, oh, what's that? So if they continue this world, I was talking in the chat earlier today, like, or was it on here? I don't remember.
The
studio where like it was a fun heist movie, but the world they set up, the way they set the tone and the graphics, they could do a Curse of Strahd, or a straight up horror movie or a pirate movie or, a straight up kind of like more Lord of the Rings serious war movie. And it works. I think the tone is there to be able to do all that in there. And they didn't give you everything, but they gave you a lot of flavor, a lot more than World of Warcraft did. And I really enjoyed that movie too.
Well,
so yeah,
I was just nervous for a new Dungeons and Dragons movie because the last one was just, God, when did that come out now? Like
2000.
Yeah, I was going to say like 20 years ago. I was hyped to see that. I was like, oh, cool, a Dungeons and Dragons movie. And at the time, I was just getting into a group of guys who were actually playing it. I knew what it was, and I was interested, but I could never find people to play it. And I'm in high school, and a couple of guys I know were playing it after school. So I'm like, cool, this is going to be great. I'm getting into this. And it's like, this movie's coming out. And I went to go see that movie, and I was like, okay. So you said it was Dungeons and Dragons, but you like read the Cliff Notes edition of the game and were like, okay, here we go. That's at least how I felt about it.
Yeah.
I rewatched it a couple months ago with Sean. He came over and we watched it, and it's painful to watch in some ways. But then we looked up and read some stuff behind the making of it, and it's essentially it was a love project from the director. But he didn't want to be the director. He was the writer. He wanted to tell this story. And he tried, I think it was like close to 10 years he tried to get it made. So finally someone was like, you just make it. So like, it's not great. But the fact they got it out and it was a major distribution, I think, especially because like, I don't even know if it was under Hasbro at that point. I don't remember when they bought Wizards of the Coast. It might've been after that. Maybe that was when the licensing changed because I don't know how he got the rights to do it, but like D&D was pretty much dead as a pop culture thing at that point. It was very not dead, but it was very, so I think now with the success of like Critical Role and Stranger Things, like this was the right time, and they did a great job with the movie. So
yeah, I've heard nothing but good things. I haven't seen it yet, and I've never played D&D, so I don't know that I'm going to pick up on most of the references. But I've heard that it's a good movie, so which is a relief because I know I have a lot of friends that do play D&D, and they were excited for this. So I'm glad that it's going to pay off for them. I kind of felt like from watching the trailers, it gave me this vibe like, are you showing all the funny parts or all the best parts of the movie in the trailer?
no.
And it sounds like it's not, so that's good. But it kind of gave me that vibe from the trailer, like man, this, like, you're giving me all the best parts now. So
yeah, it's good. It's fun. I like they did a good job with the trailers. I think my official rule, if I ever see a trailer, is like, don't show me anything from the last third of the movie. Unless it's such an obscure moment that I'm not going to realize it's from the end of the movie. But I think they marketed it well. And the fact that critics and fans are enjoying it, I think is a testament to the cast. I mean, because I saw interviews with the cast where they actually took time to play the game when they got cast in the movie. And I don't know if they did it together or whatever, but like it was maybe like a 1 day or a couple hour session, but at least they got to experience some of it. And it's clear that the people doing it, whether you've played the game or not, I think it'll be enjoyable. But if you've played, you'll pick up on things. It's like, oh yeah, that's totally something we did in our campaign. Like, just the way they talk about stuff is really great.
That's cool.
Well, so now I'm excited to see that.
So on top of the vintage stuff that you like, I know recently you've been doing some episodes and Jesse's been on there and Sean on your kind of Legion's journey and kind of educating people on Legion. So what kind of got you into that, and what are your thoughts on Legions at this point, be it mythic or cosmic?
So I knew about Mythic Legions for a couple of years, very adjacent to it, but admired from afar because it was a little bit too pricey. When it was first coming out with the Kickstarter, I just couldn't afford to. And actually, up until really recently, I couldn't afford it at all, but I've always admired it. And then they went, and I've loved the 4 Horsemen for ages, because again, like growing up into the 90s and Spawn toys, you know, like their work that they did for McFarlane was great, spot on. Then they were the guys behind the 2000X series Masters of the Universe toys. Oh man, so good. And then finding out about Classics a couple years ago, and like, oh wow, I totally missed the boat on that. So then finding out they're doing this other thing, and I was like, oh man, I really wish I could get behind this, but I just couldn't at the time. They dropped Figure Obscura on me last year with the Headless Horsemen, and I was like, oh man, I really want this, but it wasn't working at the time. I had no way to afford it. And I was talking with Sean because he had just recently come on and done a show at Toy Frenzy with me and Skelevator at the time, and he mentioned to me, he goes, hey, if you need to get your hands on one of these, I can help you out. And so I got it in hand. I wanted to do this big unboxing video on my channel, and I fell in love. I just fell in love with this toy. And I was like, oh my God, okay. So, all right, now I've got this thing. I'm all about it. Yeah, I reached out to Jesse and was like, Jesse, why don't you come on and let's talk about, you know, Legions on my channel kind of thing. And honestly, it was just such a fun time and learning about it. Like, other people started approaching me when they heard I was going to do this, like Brick, who's in the chat. Sean was on board to join us. And even Masterversal Toy Hunter Eldor was like, you know, jumping on board. He was like, you know, I think that would be a really fun. So out of nowhere, just suddenly this panel appears, and it's like, you know what, guys, let's do this. I don't think there's enough Mythic Legions talk. Like, I mean, of course there's Legions Lounge, and of course, you know, Jesse, you do Mythic Minute and everything like that. There are shows about Mythic Legions out there, but I wasn't doing one. So,
well, and I think, you know, first of all, there's a lot of Legion shows on there. And I know, you know, people are like, man, how many Legion shows are out there? But most of those are for people that are already in the community, that are already in the know, that kind of have those connections. What I like about what you guys have been doing is it's really more for people that have not gotten in, or maybe they've just dabbled in it. And it's more of kind of an educational thing. Like if I just jump into, if I'm brand new and I've never collected any of this and I jump into a Legion's Lounge episode, you know, I don't know how much I'm going to gain from that. But watching your guys's and, you know, kind of hearing from, you know, the different factions and about how the pre-order process works, like it really is kind of taking people through the steps of how to get in it. So,
yeah. And that's really what that's all about, is just to helping educate people. Because again, like myself, for a long time, I really thought Legions was just kind of like out of my price range. And Brick and Jesse and even Sean like mentioning to me about, well, if you get in on the pre-order process at, you know, Store Horseman, it's not so bad. So we started looking at that in the one episode, and I'm like, this really ain't that bad. Yeah, I gotta wait a while for it, but I'm a patient man. That's totally fine. I can deal with that. And like trying to help people realize that getting into Legions, it's gonna be pricey if you're looking back. But since it's this ongoing process, the best is yet to come, because it's always getting better. Changing that mindset. I don't have to go back and buy what's already come out. Sure, if I can and get it, you know, for reasonable price, I'm going to try to pick up something here and there maybe. But looking to the future at what's to come out, I mean, everything with Cosmic Legions that just came out is totally blowing me away. And loving that. And Jesse, we so called it, man. We just did the episode of Legions class, and we're talking about homages to MotU characters that just quite don't fit in with Mythic's world building. And then it was like the very next day they announced that Manny Faces homage tribute. I was like, yeah, if we didn't call that the night before. It was great. It was great. But
well, I'm actually surprised to hear you say, like, usually the entry for most folks is either the MotU tributes or the figure obscura. I hear a lot of people that get into the line from those two avenues. And being that you have a big MotU background, I'm surprised that's not what drew you in. It's actually the figure obscura.
It pulled me towards it, but again, it was just like, yeah, I can't, because again, a lot of those, they're like con exclusive, and I wasn't hitting those cons, so it was a little difficult for me to be able to get those. I could admire them and enjoy them in other people's collections, which was fine with me. But after seeing Figure Obscura and having the availability to have ordered it online, because nobody was going to conventions really at the time,
right?
Like, it was just starting to come back. I was like, you know what? I need to get in on this, but I missed it. And then, like I said, with Sean helped me out. I love Halloween. It's my all-time favorite holiday. And there is not one part of that figure that does not scream, this is Halloween embodied in plastic.
Yeah.
And then they had to
put mine away. Like, I've got certain figures that I only bring out certain times of the year. I put that one away for Halloween. And then I've got like Christmas. Obviously, you got the Father Christmas that just came out. And I've got my holiday He-Man with the candy cane sword. Like, he's my tree topper. Like, he goes at the top of the tree and he just hangs up there with us. So yeah,
and that was great for me too, because right after I'm getting into this, there was the Figure Obscura Father Christmas, and again, Jesse was really right on top of that too, with calling how that was kind of be done. I
got lucky on that one.
Yeah, they dropped enough hints that you pulled a really good educated guess and were like almost spot on with everything. That to me just held a special place in my heart because my mom collected Santa Clauses, like tree topper Santas. And that figure just looks so gorgeous. I was like, I'm all in on that. And then they just got to go and be jerks and do this retail appreciation wave and re-release both of them with awesome color swaps and palettes. Like, how do you make
that new Headless Horseman with the green mixed in is just yeah.
I'm swapping him out. As much as I love the first edition, I think I'm gonna use him for customs, and the green and purple is gonna be my official.
I'm gonna use the cape from the first one, but everything else is gonna be the second one.
That blew me away. Like, when they announced and showed him off, like, how did you manage to make Halloween even better?
Yeah.
You took all of my favorite colors and put them on my most favorite action figure of all time. And you added my favorite action figure feature, glow in the dark. Like, they just pushed every single one of my buttons with that.
See, I had never watched the old cartoon. I had never, watched the movie. I never read the book or anything like that. My only knowledge of Headless Horseman was from World of Warcraft. So, for me, it's all about that black and neon green and, so yeah, that one really speaks to me. So
took me away completely. I was like, I'm all in on this. And then showing off that new Father Christmas with the green robes and stuff like that. Maybe not so much as Santa Claus himself, but, right there, first off, he's got like that purplish tunic underneath now. It's like that green and purple look again.
Right.
I'm sorry, that purple's going to look really, really awesome with that red too, I think. Or no, I'm sorry, the
new one's
red
blue.
ones. Yeah, the new one's blue, and that's what it is. I'm switching out the purple from the Father Christmas with that green one. So I got my green and purple, and then the blue one's going on Father Christmas, and he'll look kind of Mario-esque, but that's okay.
I love the like Ghost of Christmas Present look to him, or what was it, Kurt? Was it the Holly King? Is that what it was? From Jeremy.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that, but so whenever I see Figure Obscura now, I'm never going to go to the roided out barbaric version, that would be very easy to do. And I'm going to steer my mind like, all right, what's the most traditional folklore way they can present this?
Yeah. And I've seen some people do the bulked up Santa, and it does look cool. I mean, you can create some cool stuff with those, the soft goods and everything else, to each their own. But, I think the figure that they put out is just very awesome looking in and of itself. So
Yeah, then the brown beard head swap too is going to look great on a couple of custom figures for sure. Yeah, I'm excited for that coming out, and again, Cosmic Legions is being announced, and everything in there looking so gorgeous. It's really heavy though. It's a heavy burden, but I just got to talk.
Have either of you guys placed your Outpost order yet?
One, yes. I put one for sure.
Gotcha.
Our good friend Skelly, I told him as soon as they announced about the Manny Faces homage figure, I was like, dude, did you see it? And he was like, yeah, I saw it. And I was like, okay, well, you're getting it. And he's just like, no, I'm not. And I was like, you're getting it. And that's that. He's getting it. So
yeah, that one
gotta help a brother.
Amazing. I think that's the best tribute they've done so far. It's so good. But yeah, I'm waiting to put in my order. I usually wait till towards the end of the pre-order period, just because I know I'm going to want some more as time goes on. I'm going to think of different customizing ideas and go, oh, well, I wish I would have had another body for that. Like, I know that Pilot, I definitely want to use the red shiny parts and make a Iron Man custom. Like, I know that for sure. Like, I could see mixing some of those red parts with some of the gold from a Magnus and just totally doing an Iron Man. But like I said, over the course of the next month, different things will pop into my head, and then I'll go, okay, I need one of those, 4 of those, 5 of these, whatever.
For me, it's also, I do enjoy sci-fi, as we've already talked about. I love my Aliens, love my Predator, and all like that. I love Star Wars. I'm into sci-fi, so that's all good. But the other must-have from this wave is also, oh shoot, I can't think of his name, but the Whiplash homage,
Scourge. Yes,
thank you. Yes, because again, he's a freaking dragon, or at least the one head's dragon, and it's like already got out of the last wave that was on Big Bad Toy Store on the way. Got him. I'm terrible with the names. Arakagor. Thank you. Yep. I'm still trying to remember all the names. There's a lot of lore out now. So.
There's a lot. Yeah. I'm waiting. This Outpost wave had a whole set of blog posts and stuff with a whole story with it, and I'm waiting for Jesse to read it to me because I'm not a reader, so I'm waiting for the audio book version from Jesse.
I'll start doing that on my second tier Patreon level.
Gotcha.
I'll read stuff right off.
So I can't do the meh level. I gotta
not for $1.
Well, how much is that level? Because I need to get in on that too. I want to do story time with Uncle Jesse.
I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can legally do that.
I thought maybe that would be a great Mythic Minute, is just to read through all of those.
I might do that. Those are long though.
They are long, but
not in a bad way, but trying to read it on my phone at work was not a good idea.
You read through your Fuzzmonk story, and that was pretty good.
Thank you.
That was long, but it was good. So I like story time with Jesse. Get a little crackling fire in the background.
We'll have to figure something out since it's cosmic. Maybe I'll talk to Walter and start doing Cosmic Countdown instead of Mythic Minute in the Cosmic Cabal.
There you go.
Just go from Mythic Minute and go right over to Cosmic.
Oh man, then I'm definitely gonna have to start. I'm gonna have to tell the guys, we're gonna have to go on later on Thursdays. Now we're gonna have to push it.
Well, I mean, you don't have to push it. I mean, by the time I'm done, you guys are getting ready to start anyway.
That's true.
There you go. Yep. Good stuff. So anything else, anything that you're watching or looking forward to movie or TV wise right now?
Well, Savage Crucible Kickstarter just ended. Mm-hmm. And sadly, with everything MotU that just got dropped, I was waiting until the end to see how things would go. And I was like, all right, I'm jumping in on this. And then last, they started doing the MotU stuff about 2 weeks ago. And then after, all of a sudden, things start popping up and hitting my pile of loot and stuff like that. So I had to be like, I can't back Savage Crucible, which is sad, which means now I'm going to have to pay much larger prices for a lot of stuff. But AWOC, there's all these great indie toy companies right now that are doing such amazing work.
Well, you mentioned the new releases for Masters. Was there something? Because they announced, what was it, like 30 figures or something, like all at once?
It's been like the biggest news drop ever of figures. Like,
was there something in there that like really stuck out to you?
Well, first off, more Snake Men, because again, I love snakes. You got Point Dread, Talon Fighter, that's coming. They've got Snake Mountain is definitively on the way. And it's like, ooh, with all that goodness coming, you've really got to start picking and choosing. What are you going to get? And
you get the Mondo Trapjaw?
I'm not. I ain't got no Mondo. And honestly, I've got no money for Mondo. And after what Funko just did to them, I am like so upset right now.
Well, let's, I don't know, Jesse, are you okay with getting into that a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because, so my take on it is, like, I know, like, some people are really out there and they're like, man, I'm, F Funko and Mondo and I'm not buying anything else they do. And then some people are like, I don't really care. And, I'm kind of in the middle. Like I feel bad for anybody that loses their job.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's a business. And if they've got certain departments or divisions that aren't making money and they've got to make cuts, they've got to make cuts. I get that. I did talk to an individual that works within Mondo, that works in the toy division. And what he has told me is that, first of all, like some people were worried about Battle Cat. What he's told me is Battle Cat's already in production. They're already making those. Like, they're well on the way. So there's no concern with Battle Cat. Trapjaw, they've already paid for the tooling. Like, there's no issues with worried about whether we get Trapjaw or not.
Yeah.
Now, could there be future cuts that would maybe halt the line? He didn't say that, but he didn't say that it's not possible either. So,
well, of course, I think it's always a realm of possibility.
Yeah.
When they let go certain divisions. The toy side of it was not one of those divisions that were touched. It
was mostly poster and then stuff on the Funko side.
Right. And it wasn't the vinyl division either, which is cool because they do great, amazing vinyl. So anybody who's out there into records, you're a vinyl collector, your stuff's going to be good to go too. And again,
and they still are going to be doing the posters too. They're just going to be doing, instead of a lot of runs that are very small, they're going to do less runs that are more quantity. So, they won't be as exclusive, but they're still going to do the posters too. So, I don't know. I'm playing a wait and see. I have loved the Mondo Masters line from the start. And that Trapjaw, I think, is freaking amazing. Like, it's just absolutely gorgeous. So, I'm hoping that line continues, but I still feel comfortable with what I've ordered so far. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't think there's any worry about any of their stuff that they have on the upcoming pipeline from really making it out. Delayed maybe here and there, because if they cut down the division, it's going to take longer for certain projects to get out. I could see that. That's understandable. And I even understand the necessity of a business to cut in. Sadly, like you said, it's sad anytime anybody loses a job. I've been laid off, so I know what that feels like. It's not fun when your boss says, hey, everybody, guess what? A couple of months, you're not going to have a job. Yeah. Kind of thing.
But our profits are going up.
Yeah, our profits are going to stay up because we're getting rid of
paying you.
That's right. But they did have to pay out a lot. They lost a lot of money with the issues they had with He-Man. They've got to pump out product now to replace product for people who already got it. There's a lot of customer service that went into that, and their customer service for fixing that issue with a lot of people, they went above and beyond but that still has a cost in the end.
Well, and they, obviously they've oversaturated the market with the pops, and to the point where now they're dumping some in a landfill because the tax credit that they get for disposing of it is more than if they sold it for a discounted price. Yeah. So it's just one of those where
I've never been a fan of Funko themselves.
If anything, it makes me appreciate Four Horsemen even more because, with Funko, with any sort of publicly traded company, you have to do what you need to do to try to please the stockholders, which doesn't necessarily always equal the best thing for your business. And because Four Horsemen are not publicly traded, they're their own company. They can make their decisions on their own. This is a conversation I was having with CB of at MesquiCon, but he was kind of saying that was one of their biggest fears, was growing too big too fast, and then having kind of the interest dry up, and now you're kind of stuck with these large production runs that you can't get rid of and stuff. So they've been very strategic with how many releases they have per year, how many figures are in each wave, because you don't want to oversaturate the market. And even if if you were a publicly traded company, you may be trying to pump out as much stuff as you can to try to boost numbers and that kind of thing. But because they're not, they're able to do things the way that they want to, which is, I think, been a big benefit for them.
Well, it's one of the best things that McFarlane's always had going for him. He's the one running the show. Everybody else is raising prices. McFarlane raises prices too, but not as much as everybody else. Like, he's out there putting out $10 superpowers figures right now for everybody. Meanwhile, everybody else is, Funko here, for instance, $17.99 for a 5 POA action figure that could have been made in 1977. And then you got superpowers figure. It's a lot better, bigger even. And they're not charging, it's half the cost basically. Kind of.
Yeah. I'll argue a little bit on that. I'll play devil's advocate here.
Sure.
Is the $17.99 Funko ones, that's like different box art on every single one of those cards. So they are paying an artist.
Granted.
Whereas the superpowers,
it's pretty standard box
it's 5 or 6 figures a wave. Like those reaction figures, they make a ton of those.
They do.
And
I will give them that.
Those aren't even Funko anymore. Those are
Super 7 does the reaction.
Super 7 does them now, but Funko was doing them. Yeah. And they were cheaper when Funko had them.
That's I completely forgot about that. Super 7 took those over. It's Super
but the other thing with Funko is when you go to like every single property and you're making a pop for everything, that's a lot of licenses that you're paying for.
Yeah, it is.
And that's not cheap either. So, I think it's one of those things like, I don't need pops from that 70s show. I don't need a one day at a time pop, but like there's certain things that I think they probably could have stayed away from.
Someone does.
Somebody does, but I don't know that it's enough that it's worth paying the licensing fee and producing them.
Well, I imagine the licensing fee isn't as bad because they don't have to do a likeness.
Gotcha. Yeah, they're not paying likeness rights.
Yeah.
It's just the licensing for the property that they've got to do. Yeah. And that's still expensive, especially when you're paying the Disney licensing fee because
I've never been a pop guy.
No, neither.
I would think that if you are a pop person and you it's so overwhelming. Like I've gone into these stores or these toy shows where they're just everywhere. And it's like, how do you even find, if you're looking for a specific, if I'm looking for a Buffy the Vampire Slayer pop, how the hell do you even find that? It's like this wall of things,
As a pop collector, I still get some here and there for very specific characters or very specific things. Like that was my main collecting for a couple of years, and then I started to tone down, and especially once I dove headfirst into customizing Mythic Legions and everything. But I was at a flea market with some friends, and we were 5 or 6 aisles away. And we just came up with this hill, and I was like, "Oh, that table has pops over there. I'm going to go check it out." And they're like, "What table?" I was like, "That one back there by that red Camaro." And they're like, what red Camaro? I'm like, that one back there. And they're like, what? It was like halfway through the flea market. They're like, how did you even see that? I was like, the box. It's a very distinct look.
Yep. You recognize it in a heartbeat.
Yep. And then going to the store, like looking for them, like I know which ones I'm looking for. And if you know what the box art looks like the color banner for whichever property you're looking for, it's like, all right, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 has a purplish banner, at the top. So you just start looking for purple. You just like if you're sorting baseball cards or whatever, if you're organizing, like that weird ADD part of my brain can like start filtering things out when I'm really focusing on it.
Yeah.
But it was too much. Like I do love the Funkos. I love that there was such a variety of everything, because then I could have Pirates of the Caribbean here right next to my Star Wars, right next to my, all these things. And they were all in scale. They all had like a uniform look to them.
Right.
And then they started making them a lot more detailed and like slender female bodies instead of just a stocky body like they all were. It started to kind of lose a little bit of the fun for me. But
I give it to people because I'm certainly not going to, yuck on somebody's yum. Like, if you're into Funkos, that's great, and keep going with it. Enjoy what you collect. That's the biggest thing of all. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean that you shouldn't like it. If that's what you're into and that's what you like, get into it and enjoy it.
For me, it's one of those where I've seen some that are really cool. It's just you got to make choices for your collection, and it's just not something I've got room for. I think I've got one, which is like a Voltron pop that I saw that was really cool. But yeah, I mean, it's just one of those. I have nothing against them. It's just not.
I've got a handful.
Yeah,
I admit, and I'm not a Funko collector, but I've got a handful. Very long time ago, because I used to work at GameStop, I got a Master Chief Funko, and then because of that, somebody got me a Cortana to go with my Chief.
There you go.
And right around the time, which is the Dragon Ball Z Budokai that came out on the Xbox 360, I was playing that, and my stepdaughter at the time, she went to Toys R Us, so that'll age about how long ago this was, because it was before they were going completely out of business. It was like when they had their earlier, we're going to go out of business, but no, we're not. She saw a Piccolo Funko Pop, and she was like, I got to get this for Ozzy. And she's like all of like 6 years old. So her mom picked it up and they brought it home for me. So I got a handful of Dragon Ball Z ones because of that. And then after that, at a certain point, Walgreens had an exclusive Venom one. And one of my customers had found out I was a huge Venom fan. So he picked up a Venom Walgreens exclusive Funko and gave it to me. And then the only one that I myself bought was a Carnage one that a buddy of mine was selling that was a Hot Topic exclusive to go with my exclusive Venom. So even I have a handful of them. It's not something I'm going to go out of my way to collect. But as these were gifts,
it's pronounced GIFs.
Oh, GIFs. My bad.
GIF. The G stands for graphics. So yeah, GIF.
I'm going to answer this question. For me, the bobbleheads, they bother me because the springs tend to like lean, especially if it's some of the Star Wars ones that have the heavier. And the only reason Star Wars and Marvel ones are like that is because of a licensing thing where they can't be a toy. Or it's one of the things in the language because Hasbro and other companies have the license for the Marvel and Star Wars stuff. That's why they're glued onto their bases now. Like they used to be able to take them off the Star Wars stands. But now they're glued on and the heads are always bobble. But like this, like I had Agent May from S.H.I.E.L.D. and her head constantly went back like this because her hair was so heavy. Ula from Jabba's palace, like her head was constantly like cricked like that, and you can't fix it. So that bothers me, but conceptually it doesn't bother me, just practicality, because I take mine out.
Well, thank you for explaining that about the stands, though, because I always wondered about that. I know like they started doing Star Wars like a long time ago. Like that was like one of the first ones that I remember seeing popping up. So like I understood at the time like the way they would sit on the stands and all like that, but then I started noticing later ones where there wasn't a stand, but Star Wars still had it. So now I get that. I see why.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Well, so I've got a question for you guys. I was thinking about this yesterday. We were kind of talking on the Saturday Day Live about vintage toys. And okay, I've got a question. I want you guys to think about it for a second and give me your answer. I'll give you mine first just to give you some time. You can go back to any year and go into a Toys R Us. Just go like time travel back and you can go into a Toys R Us. What year do you go back to?
83.
Is that what you're going with? Like kind of height MotU?
Not even just height MotU, because the height was 85.
Yeah.
I want to go back to right before then.
Yeah.
Because two of my most favorite properties are going to be in store on shelves simultaneously at probably arguably like Masters hadn't quite peaked in 83. The Filmation was coming out, so it was getting crazy. Star Wars was also really big in 83. And like being able to see them both on the shelves, like in that kind of prime setting in a toy store, I think that would have been amazing. Yeah.
I think I would go with 85 because you would have Superpowers out, which was a huge line for me. I loved Superpowers. You've still got MotU on the shelves. You got Star Wars. You got Thundercats. I mean, I would miss out on Silverhawks because I think that was like 87. And I think Turtles didn't come out to like 88. So I would miss those, which kind of sucks. But if I went to like 88 to catch the Turtles, then I'm missing MotU. So I'm thinking 85. If I could time travel back and go to a Toys R Us in 1985 and just see all the stuff that I collected on the shelf at the same time, or most of the stuff that would be awesome.
I'm torn between the two because I would love to go back to 83 and see the end cap display in the Hills toy department with that clear plastic wrap around the end with the entire Return of the Jedi line set up there in display. That because that was like
that's what I'm talking about. Like
that's like a fixed point in time for me. Just looking at that thing that like solidified my love of toys and collecting and displaying that way. But I would go with 85 also because we're a little deeper into the Transformers,
that's true.
Period. So like
you would have Transformers, you would have G.I. Joe, you'd have Star Wars, MotU, Superpowers. Like, well, see, dude, that's a lot of stuff.
I don't remember Star Wars so much being on the shelves, and again, I was born 85, so. Was Star Wars still a big presence in 85 on the toys? Because I know 83, was when Jedi came out.
Yeah, but it was still out there for a bit. I mean, it was
right.
It was
I'm just not sure how
late
popular
80s
it was
before it kind of died off, and then they brought in those like jacked up Star Wars figures. You know what I'm talking about?
Those were 90s, my Star Wars toys, okay? And I was super excited when they were coming out because for me, that was my first experience with Star Wars on a toy shelf.
Broomhilda Leia.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, and like the 4-foot long lightsaber because you couldn't figure out the proper scaling for a lightsaber for a 3.75 figure. My Darth Vader's lightsaber was like twice, like it was like pretty much the entire blister pack. And then like my Luke's was longer than the eventual size that they went with. And then my Obi-Wan's was like as long as the blister pack.
Yeah, Battle Beast too. God,
Battle Beast and Starcom was so fun.
No, Starcom. What is that? What is Starcom?
It was sci-fi. They were slightly motorized, like and like magnetic. So like I had one. It was like a drop ship. I think it was like a little like yellowish gray ship that you could put like a guy in. It would like clip down onto like a cargo crate and like it would like magnetic, but you'd hit a button and the wings would like manually like. And I think the guys had.
I don't remember those.
I think the guys had like magnetic feet, like they were small, but they were really cool, and some of them were really elaborate. But also Legos, anything Legos from like mid 80s to mid 90s is like, because that's when you really started getting the more creative like stuff with like the horses, and instead of building the horses out of the bricks, they started doing the molded ones and all that like 90s, late 80s, early 90s castle and pirate stuff is
that'd be a good one. Like if you did like 88, you would catch Turtles, you would catch Battle Beast, you would catch Mask,
Dino Rider.
Yeah, like that would be a kind of good one too. I'm surprised you didn't go with a later one, Jesse, for the Turtles. Like
because I had a lot of the Turtles, so like I'm thinking more stuff like I missed on. Like I had some Transformers. Like if I could go knowing what to tell myself to get, at that time, like get these Transformers, like not so much for the increased value thing, but just the like enjoyment of them.
Oh yeah.
More Sky Riders was it Sky Riders? The guys that had like the bungee cord attached to their backs and like had all like they had like the strings that you could like attach across the room and they'd like slide down.
What they were called? I know what you're talking about. I just didn't know what they were called, but yeah, that's cool.
Centurions, the guys that had all the modular pieces you could snap onto them.
Yep. And Visionaries.
Yeah.
Oh man, Visionaries were so.
I wouldn't have done Visionaries because I thought that's how I got into Turtles. I thought Visionaries. There was a line of toys coming out. I think they had the holograms on their chest, right? Like the big, or their faces or something.
No, Visionaries had like the symbols, and then like they would have like some of them even had like stabs or something. Had like
their whole, it was like their face and chest and everything.
Supernaturals is what those were.
One of them I thought it was based on the horoscope, and that was like a no-no in our house.
No go.
So when I looked at the line on the shelf and I saw like the lion, and I think I was thinking like I don't think I knew those
Visionaries.
But I think it was one of those things. It's not based on horoscope. Yeah. It's not based on a horoscope and astrology, but the images made me think of the horoscope, so I assumed it was. So
gotcha.
I was looking, I'm like, oh, those are cool. Oh, that's those things. And I turned my head and the turtles were right in front of me. There's this blue.
And then Jesse's like, mutant turtles that do ninja moves.
I saw a green turtle with a blue headband, and I'm like, this is my thing. And then Sean became the Leonardo fan. So I became Raph.
I remember when I first saw the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I laughed at it because I thought the name was so stupid. I was like, what are they going to come up with next? Like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like this is the stupidest name ever. This is totally going to flop. This line isn't going to do anything. And, yeah, I was a little wrong.
So, these are the Supernaturals.
Yes.
And
that's what I was thinking of.
Were just fun. I had a couple of these smaller guys down here. I didn't have any of the bigger ones. And this was their one lone play set, which was like literally the gates to hell. For a toy to come out like this in the 80s, like with all the other satanic panic that was happening at the time for a lot of things, like I'm shocked this ever hit the shelves of a toy store.
Did you have the Kids Work Thundercats, the little tiny ones? You know what I'm talking about?
No, I didn't have those, but I know the ones that you're talking about.
Oh, they're so cool. They're like this tall, and they were, but they were, I don't know, they were just awesome. Then they had the cat's lair and stuff, and so cool. But I mean, yeah, there's so many good vintage toys, man. You really can't pick a bad year in the 80s that would be a bad one to go into, but. Yeah.
80s was a blast for toys as a kid. It was one of the best eras ever as far as toys went. That's for sure.
I know it's not a toy, but something I loved in the late 80s was, I don't know if it was just one coloring book or if there was a series, and I feel like there was a cartoon special, but it was called American Rabbit. And it was just this, for some reason, I can pull it up here. Or if you've got it, Oz. American Rabbit coloring book. There was something about the art style of that. It was before Roger Rabbit came out. There's just something about that I absolutely loved and was obsessed with, and I wanted to color those pages so good.
Here, like I typed in American Rabbit coloring book, and this is what I got. Let me share.
Oh yeah, Brick. I had older brothers, so I got toys secondhand from them and from people that just donated stuff to our family. So yeah, Fisher Price Adventure People, Micronauts. I'm not quite familiar with. I mean, I know what they are, but I didn't have them. But yeah, that yellow one with the weights. Yeah, that one
right there.
Yep. like I don't know. One. Yeah, I don't know what it was like. The art inside, I mean, it's the same style, but like there was something about it. It wasn't just this weird American thing, but I mean, it was, but like it wasn't about the Americana of it. But there's just something I loved about it.
Well, there was definitely a VHS series too.
I didn't know what a VH was at that point.
Speaking of VHS series, did you guys have Captain Power?
Yes. Well, no, I didn't have any toys, but I loved it. One of my buddies, Gabe, had some of these Captain Power things, and I just thought they were the coolest looking things.
You didn't have any, Jesse?
No, I vaguely remember.
Do you know what we're talking about?
I just looked them up. Yeah.
So they had these VHSs that came with it, and you would put it in, you'd play it, and there'd be these ships flying by, and they would have like flashing lights on them and stuff. And you had this ship with a guy in the cockpit and stuff, and it was basically like a gun. So the ship was like a gun, and you would so it was like a toy and a video game, because that's like right at that period where Nintendo had come out. Kind of kids were switching over from toys to video games, and this was like that crossover where it was like, okay, we're gonna make a toy into a video game, and it was so cool, man. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I thought they were cool, and that was another thing in the early or the mid '80s. Captain Crunch would do like the toy store, like what do you call it, like sweepstakes, where like you win like an hour shopping spree to Toys R Us or
I remember those. That'd be cool.
I always wanted to win one of those, man.
Or it was like a picture of all these toys on the back of the box. It was like stuffed. It was just like every toy you could imagine on the back, and I would just stare at that box while I was eating breakfast, like eating like 2 pieces of Captain Crunch at a time just so I could look at the box longer,
Yeah. Well, apparently Captain Power was like 87 to 88. So I'm going to go with 88. I'm going to get Battle Beast. I'm going to get Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
I'm going to get Silverhawks. I'm going to get Captain Power. Yeah. I'm thinking I'm doing pretty good. Yeah. I'm going to miss out on MotU, but that's all right. I've got a lot of other things that'll keep me going. So
you wouldn't miss out on Ghostbusters. Like I said, it was still around. It just wasn't at its peak anymore.
88's a good year because then you could go garage sailing for MotU stuff.
There you go.
Star Wars stuff.
There you go.
I do remember seeing a lot of Star Wars at yard sales. Never really got any because they didn't, you'd find there's nothing worse than looking at a Luke Skywalker or a Darth Vader with the telescoping lightsaber hand and no lightsaber.
Dude, how about the toys where you would have the offers with you'd have to collect the proofs of purchase and stuff?
Yes. Oh man,
that's how I got the Emperor. That. That's how I got Emperor Palpatine back in the 80s.
I got Emperor Palpatine that way, and there was a
mail away Predator.
In the Superpowers one, there was a Clark Kent that you could mail away for. Yeah,
Superpowers.
Mask. That was mid 80s too.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mask would be there in like 87, 88. Yeah.
Have you guys heard of Ramen Toy?
Oh yeah. I'm a big ramen guy.
Machina. Oh, he's bringing it back. Curtis, I know you're a big MotU fan. Did you see what they're working on next?
Or for ramen?
For Ramen Toy.
I know they did a head. What else do they got going on?
Battle Bones.
Oh yeah. I've seen that. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Battle Bones was never my favorite vehicle, though. I thought it was just kind of like,
To me, it was a dinosaur. That you know, like I didn't think of it, even though like
it didn't really do anything. It just like held your figure.
It was a carrying case. His two of his vertebrae were, you know, like finger hooks that you could stick your fingers in. You put your characters on it, and all their weapons went in the mouth. But man, mine was the Wind Raider. Like I could take that Wind Raider. Like I play with that thing so much. That and the Talon Fighter, but I think the Wind Raider I used a lot more. So, I'll tell you, I was a big fan of Talon Fighter.
From earlier in the 80s, I was this is going to sound totally lame, and you guys can make fun of me all you want. That's totally fine. I'm going to tell the story anyway.
Okay.
I when I was little, my family nickname is Bear because my oldest brother, when I was born, I had a lot of hair on my head, and he was like, "Oh, he looks like a bear." So that was instantly my family name, right?
It's one of my nicknames.
Okay. So I had lots of like bear stuffed animals, bear themed stuff growing up, you know, all this stuff. So when I was really little, I had this, it was like almost like I know it's real popular with a lot of people, and I've seen it for years and years. It's like a giraffe for like kids that are teething. It's almost like a squeaky toy, but it's like this cute little giraffe, you know.
Right.
It's soft. I had one that was like a bear with a bow tie that I absolutely loved, and it had to be from like the early 80s. And I remember seeing it at the church we went to, and I was convinced it was mine, so I took it home because I'd never seen that bear anywhere else. So in my very literal child mind, I had been at that church before. Therefore, I left it there.
And it was yours. Like you weren't taking somebody else's. It was yours.
I was convinced I was taking mine home. And I think I had to take it back. But
yeah.
Or I got caught before we went out to the car. My mom saw what it and, you know, made me put it back. But,
wasn't it there like a fast food chain around back then, like Shoney's that had those bears?
Not that bear specifically, but yeah, I did have one of those.
Yeah, I definitely remember the Shoney's bears.
Yeah,
I was surprised I could even remember the name of that place too, because they weren't around for very long when I was a kid. But
they're still out there, aren't they, Curtis?
Are they?
I haven't seen one in forever. So
I know when I was going to college in Springfield, Missouri, 20 years ago, they were still there.
Yeah, I haven't seen one in forever, but I remember my brother had a Jeffrey giraffe from Toys R Us. And that was like, dude, he could not go anywhere without that Jeffrey giraffe. This is my younger brother. And like, dude, if he lost it, he would be screaming. So
Brick, I love you. No one ever remembers Munchie, and I love those things.
They were pretty cool.
And definitely what was it wasn't I don't know if they did toys, but there was the cartoon, was it the Littles, where it was like the people that lived in the wall?
Yeah, that was it.
Oh man. Figuratively speaking, says Shoney's is no longer in Missouri. Dang. So there you go.
But hey man, you know, one of my favorites growing up was definitely a plushie, and My Pet Monster. Man, that thing was just so, you know, talking about Funkos, if there was another one that I'd buy, it'd be the My Pet Monster Funkos.
I have that one.
I'm not surprised because
I have
Pet Monster. It's amazing.
Most of the pops I have left are like either 80s nostalgia toys, movies that I can't get represented other ways, or like their unique weird stuff. Like
I was a little too old for that. Like by the time My Pet Monster came out, I was past that period of my life. So
man, My Pet Monster was a reason to stay in the plushies well past when you figure you grow out of them. Okay,
but I don't ever really remember. I don't ever remember having like any stuffed animals that I really recall. I had this little, oh man, it's like the creepiest like doll that my grandmother made. That's like, it's got this like plastic clown face, and then it's like a cloth doll that she made, and it's the creepiest looking thing now. But I used to carry that thing around with me everywhere. But I don't recall ever having any like plush, you know, stuffed animals or anything. So
I had this weird music box as a kid. It was I don't know why, because I don't like clowns, but it kind of looked like a wardrobe shape. Like it wasn't like a pop up like ballerina music box. It looked like kind of like a grandfather clock or something, but it was white, and you wound it up, and this clown would just like kind of go back and forth like this, and like his legs would move. It was like supposed to look like he was juggling, and it had like a little drawer that you could pull out. You know, you could fit like, I don't know, like a couple pennies in it or something.
Yeah.
But I keep it in my closet because it freaked me out. But every now and then it was that morbid curiosity. I'd get down there, I'd wind it up, like it'd do its thing for a couple seconds, and then I'd like stash it in the corner and run away.
Let me see this creepy thing, and now let me hide it away.
Yeah, that's what it's like. I get it, because I'm into like creepy, scary stuff all the time myself, and that's exactly how it is. It's like I do it just enough to get creeped out, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done. Because I'm not scared of too much. So when something does give me the willies, it's like, okay.
I will say I was not raised on mead, but when I would visit my grandpa, like whiskey was the cure for everything. So
just rub it in your mouth.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm sure that definitely led to
you had a cold, if you had a flu, if you were just irritable, if you were teething, whiskey was the cure. So there you go. Do you remember Popples?
Yep.
Remember those?
Yeah,
I love Popples.
I did have some of those.
I have a pop of that.
Yeah. Yeah, those were cool.
My stepdad's cure-all. We didn't have. I don't remember being old enough to remember like a family cure-all before my parents split up. But my stepdad's was Alka-Seltzer.
Oh yeah.
Growing up, Alka-Seltzer. Pink eye, Alka-Seltzer. Diarrhea, Alka-Seltzer. Your arm fell off, Alka-Seltzer. Like,
and you know, my arm fell off a time or two, and look,
you know, you were just talking about Alka-Seltzer, and like the fizzing reminded me, and this is gonna be gross. I'm sorry, but like one of the things that I loved to do when I was a kid, I would go visit my grandma, and when we would go to bed at night, she would let me put her teeth in the denture stuff that would fizz up, and I just thought that was the coolest shit. And now I'm like, oh my god! But yeah, I would go get the cup, and I would put the little tablets in. It would start fizzing up, and then she'd give me her teeth, and I'd put them in the little cup. And I thought that was just so awesome. Like I was like, I can't wait till I get older and I can put my teeth in this fizzy stuff, because it's really cool.
I want to be all lame and brush my teeth. I could just put them in the automatic teeth washer.
Yeah. I want the fizzy cup with the teeth like grandma has. Good stuff. Sorry, when you were talking about Alka-Seltzer, it reminded me of that.
That's fine.
I totally get it. I totally get it.
Good stuff.
Oh man, you know, the aliens on Sesame Street freaked me out.
Oh really?
Oh
like
yeah,
the terry cloth towel saggy ones with the eyes would be like,
oh my god.
When they'd like materialize, like I'd be down in the basement watching it by myself, fine, playing toys. Those freaking aliens came on. I like ran upstairs like you had just turned off the last light and were trying to get under your covers before the darkness completely enfolded you.
Sorry, Raphael. Sorry. Yeah, that's funny though.
Another maybe I will go back later in the 80s and go yard sailing for a little bit, but because Sean's here, it reminded me of army ants, man. If I could go back and buy army ants,
those were cool.
I have no idea what that is.
Oh my gosh.
What? Hold on,
they were tiny little figures. I want to say it was Galoob or maybe Hasbro.
One of those
where you had a blue faction and an orange faction. In my mind, the orange ones were the good guys, the blue ones were the bad guys, because the blue ones kind of had characters that looked like Kaisers and Nazis, and then the other ones, they looked more like British and US troops.
The blue ones definitely had the Nazi style helmets.
You know, and they were just all in different poses. They were kind of like the California Raisins, you know, they're like static poses, but they had either green or like reddish purple butts that were squishy, like the last section of them. And some of them glue in the dark, but they had like little accessories.
Some yeah. Okay. I you know what? I can't say that I ever had Nazi ants, but if they made you happy and
all right, don't no.
So
I have never seen these.
You didn't see? Oh man, these were neat little things.
Yeah, they came in like 3-packs or something.
Yeah,
or maybe it was like a 6 or 8-pack with like
it was like this. It was like an 8-pack.
They kind of look like muscle men almost.
Yeah, they're a little bigger.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's definitely what somebody was lumping them in with.
Yeah, Army Ants and Muscle Men were awesome. But yeah,
I love Muscle Men.
Muscle was so cool
because they had little bits of attitude, and I got to the point where I would be like, I would take a piece of paper, if we had like downtime at school, and I would draw like a map. I'd draw like a river through or like a beachhead or something, and I'd make like the blue guys were coming in on like what are those things that hovercrafts, like the G.I. Joe hovercraft. Like I never had one of those, so I was like giving them to, those things, and like the orange ones like had I would draw like the barracks and the med tent, and there was like the flagpole in the middle, and but it was all like aerial view looking down. But I would just spend hours making up these weird maps of like the Army Ants all over. But cool. Yeah, but that's actually the Army Ants were the thing that really got Sean and I like hanging out together before Turtles did.
So that's what we can blame for knowing Sean now. So.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'd never seen those. I definitely had Muscle Men. I mean, who doesn't want figures that you can buy in a trash can? Like that's
right.
That's how all figures should come. So
hold on a sec. Yeah, there was oh god, what were those called? They were like Garbage Pail Kids, the toys almost. Trash Can Bunch or something like that.
I don't know what that is. The Muscle Men, like they would come in the little box packs.
Yeah.
But there was also like the deluxe one that was like the clear trash can that you would get like a dozen or 2 dozen in or something like that.
Yeah. I loved them. Those things were awesome. And they had zero articulation, but
zero.
They were just cool.
You're lucky if they stayed on their 2 feet.
Yeah. Zero articulation, zero paint apps, but somehow still awesome.
And then they started to get them in like the really like bright neon colors later to try and draw more people in. But that's why I was a sucker for do you guys remember not Pokemon or Pocket Monsters, but Monsters in My Pocket?
I remember them, but they were like by the time they were coming out, like I was a little too old for them, I think.
They were so neat because they had to me it was so cool. There was like toys, you had the toys, and they came in like there was a mountain display case that you get for them. Again, just like Muscle, no paint apps. It was whatever solid color plastic they were in.
Yeah.
But they went through all different kinds of like folklore from around the world and everything. You had stuff like Sasquatch, and then you also had stuff like, the Baba Yaga or, things of that nature in there. And it taught me so much about different lore of monsters from all over the world. Now they got into some trouble because they had stuff like Ganesh and everything like that. So you're talking about Indian gods and they're being portrayed as monsters.
Jesse's out.
So they were not happy about
that. I
that.
wouldn't have known what that was back then.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And would have probably just assumed it was a monster. So
yeah,
no harm there. I'm trying to find these trash. They were toys that came in an actual trash can, and they were all like gross little weird things like that. I'm trying to remember the name of them.
Don't recall that one. But yeah, that's some good nostalgia tonight.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's the best part when you get a bunch of, I don't know if you guys view it as bad language, but a bunch of kidults like us hanging around.
Don't use without that word.
A specific theme of toys to talk about where we can just dive into all the fun nostalgia.
According to Jesse, we're toy geeks. We're not toy
I'm
nerds.
a toy geek. You guys call yourself. I don't identify as a nerd. No. I'm not smart enough.
I keep being told I'm smart.
That must be nice.
Trash bag bunch. That's what they're called.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, trash.
You're gonna have to pull up a picture because I have no idea what that is.
Well, it took me forever just to find one listing of them, but it helps when you know the right name. So again, they're like similar to like the Army Ants or the Monsters in My Pocket, but they were called Trash Bag Bunch.
I think I had a knockoff pogo ball, and I cannot tell you how many times I fell. I can tell you how many times every time I fell on I never got good at that thing.
I didn't have a pogo ball. I had a pogo stick, and we had gotten it from a garage sale. And I remember I spent a month trying to get to 100 jumps on our back patio in a row without stopping. And it took me a month to get there. And as soon as I hit 100, I put it down and I never picked it up again. I think the last time that I visited my parents at that house, that pogo stick was in the last spot that I left it, like just laying on the patio, and it was completely rusted out.
That's fantastic.
My memories of a pogo ball was I kept thinking I was a Spider-Man villain.
I never had a pogo ball. You remember that thing that you would sit on and twist yourself in? Like it was a circle.
The sit and spin.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Dude, that thing was awesome.
So they came in these trash bags. And that's where you're a trash bag.
What did they look like outside of it?
So it was a blind bag toy. So you'd get like dudes like this guy up here. Well, that's a sell listing, so it's just going to try to bring us to that. Here's a bunch of them. I'll go to a new tab so we can see it better. But like you see here, there's like little like robots, monsters, alien looking things, all just kind of weird stuff like this. I mean, that's always been like my forte, these creepy little things.
One in the middle looked like the Nosferatu from It Was Peter from What We Do in the Shadows.
Here, I think this might be the same listing. Maybe we get a better picture of them. No, this is a different listing, but let's see. Try to blow this one up a little bit here.
Do you guys remember? Oh, what was that thing called? I feel like it's one of those toys that like it like read a book to you, but it was like a clear thing. It was almost like crystalline, but like you would put it down and like you'd turn it and it would start playing like some sort of audio. I swear they used it in the Serenity movie when they were doing like the playback. I feel like I had a toy like that, or someone I knew had a toy like that.
I don't recall that.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look that up.
I did just figure out that Cops and Crooks also came out in '88, so that 88 is my year. Like that's the year I'm going to.
Rick says Crystar.
Because Cops and Crooks was awesome too. I love that line.
Cops and Crooks was awesome.
Yeah.
Was that with like where they were like the cyborg cops?
Kind of, yeah.
Some of them had like those parts. Like
Bulletproof was the leader, like the chief or whatever. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but the big boss had the chest that opened up and the guns came out. It was so awesome.
Big Boss looked like Kingpin.
It's like they're living in the future, but they all spoke like they were from like a 50s gangster.
Yeah,
right. You know.
They're trying to beat Dick Tracy to the punch.
Yeah, it was. I love that line. My dad, that Christmas that those came out, my dad was at the store and they were looking for these things and they couldn't find them anywhere. And my dad was talking to somebody from the store, was asking if they had them in the back or something. They said no. And he said something like, there's never a cop around when you need one. And he thought that was so funny. He tells that joke to this day. Like pretty much every Christmas, he'll talk, hey, remember when we were getting those cops and there was none around? I said, you can't find a cop when you need one. I'm like, yeah, it's still hilarious. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
So apparently these were made by Galoob. So that
made everything back then.
They did.
Carol said that Alf read stories too. I did not remember that.
Yeah, we had the Alf plushies that were more like Teddy Ruxpin, where you could put a tape in them. And man, they were so cool. Because again, it was just like our Teddy Ruxpin, who was notorious for singing Ozzy Osbourne and Nirvana. A little bit of Metallica was known to be played out of Teddy Ruxpin from time to time.
That'd be funny.
Oh man, it was a great concert.
Yeah, I want to see Teddy Ruxpin Enter Sandman. That's what I want.
Well, I gotta tell you, nothing like having a Teddy Ruxpin sing off of Heart-Shaped Box from Nirvana. There's one particular song that I can't say the name of on here. But when those lyrics start coming out, your parents get real upset about what your Teddy Ruxpin's singing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I know the song you're talking about. Yeah, that would not be good. Oh, man.
Okay, I don't know what I'm thinking of, that audio player thing. I must be hallucinating. There were some friends, I had some friends who were better off, so it might have been an actual piece of technology and not a toy.
Yeah. Did you have
rich friends with their technology?
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved, like, I would have friends where it would be like, this guy's my WWE wrestler friend, and this guy's my Thundercat friend, and like, you know, so like I didn't collect those lines, but I knew if I wanted to play with them, I could go have a, you know, kind of go hang out and stay the night at their house, and then I could play with those, and then they would come to my house and they could play with the superpowers because I had the whole line, you know. That was just cool, just knowing people that you could kind of have those toy experiences without owning those toys.
They didn't have robot nannies. Their parents were pretty involved in their life, but yeah, they had a pool, and they had a VHS, like the camcorder where you wore like the strap with the cassette thing was down at your side and the camera was still just as big.
Yeah.
Like that was I didn't really know what it was, but I knew it was a way to like watch a movie that had already come out. And I'm like, what is this magic? And they had this, their basement was awesome. Like you'd come downstairs and like the one side was like carpeted and had like this like big, it was like a movie room, and the other side was like linoleum, and like all the toys were over there. And then there was a big glass window out into the backyard with their pool, and they were awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it for you too, Jesse, because I seem to remember something like that.
I'll send you that picture. Have you seen the movie Firefly or Serenity?
Yeah, dude.
So you remember when the scene where they're on Miranda and they're playing back the tape of like the ruined mission where the woman's like saying, this is what we tried to do here, and like the zombie, like the Reavers are breaking in, like that crystal thing, like that clear device. I swear I experienced that piece of technology as some sort of plaything at someone's house.
And it's not unheard of that they do that, because I used to have this game called Lights Out, and it was had different lights on buttons, and you would push the button and then the lights, it was almost like Minesweeper, but in an electronic game format for your hand with lights. And I was actually playing around with it, and I looked up on TV, and there was somebody using it as a prop for like some kind of techno tablet reader thing in a movie as I was watching this. And I'm like, how come mine don't do that? You know? And, you know, it's just what it was. Something generic somebody had laying around on set that they know that they could use for this kind of thing. So it's completely reasonable that is something that they found. But yeah, if you find a picture of it, send it to me, and
I'll see what I can do. Yeah.
But in looking for it, I found all these really cool golden books on record for Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, that's horrifying.
Like $12.
TJ, I had to repair Teddy Ruxpin once. The motor slowed to a demonic speed.
Ooh. Yeah, that would not be good.
It'd be great if you could figure out how to get him to backmask, like play him backwards.
Right? Then you could find out how demonic Chicago really was.
Yeah.
Before little Nicky showed us.
Oh, goodness.
Well, I think I've identified that 88 is definitely the year I want to go to. I just need somebody to give me their time machine now. So,
yeah, let me go call the doctor up, and we'll get you a TARDIS.
Yes, let me know.
Just, you know, it's bigger on the inside, so we can actually all fit in that phone. You know,
well, we need enough room that we can bring stuff back too. So
there's plenty of room on the inside. Yeah. That's why it's the perfect time.
DeLorean is not the right choice for that.
No,
that adventure.
No, you get me and Curtis in that. There's definitely no room
that we bring some time accurate currency with us too.
Yeah,
you know, because
today they're not going to take our. They're definitely all like we could go with is ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
go back to Toys R Us with $100 in 1988, man.
No,
blown my mind.
You'd clean up.
Jeffrey Bucks. If we're going to Toys R Us, we just gotta go back, find pictures of Jeffrey Bucks, and print a ton off.
Want to go to what? Kitty City, KB Toys,
Yes.
Hills.
See, Jesse, I forget. Like you're also from like the local area, so you remember some of these other local toy stores a bit more.
Mine was KB Toy. That was like the big one. Like we would go to the mall, and if we were good, then they would take us to KB Toy, and it was like, yeah. But I mean, Toys R Us, like you just never got to go there because
it was like a once a year kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, like if you go to Toys R Us, the only plan that you have is to buy toys. So you don't get to go there. But if you go to the mall, there's other things that your parents are looking at, but there's also a toy store. So that's where KB Toys came in.
Yep.
So, germs. They would always have some like really cool display out front, like they would
they'd have the little box with like the electronic dogs, like
yeah. I remember one time they had the Eternia play set with the little track going around and stuff.
I don't think I knew that was a thing until about a year or so ago, and then I went to PowerCon and I saw it and I was like, I don't remember that thing ever.
I remember seeing it back then, but I didn't even know that it was Masters of the Universe because it doesn't like. It looks nothing like anything Eternia that you've seen in the cartoon.
Yeah. This giant blue cat face thing that looked more.
I thought it was something to do with Thundercats. I was like, I have no idea.
I had the Sword of Omens as a kid, like the plastic one that was the little dagger sized one. My mom didn't want to buy it for me because it was called the Sword of Omens, but when I told her what it did in the show, she broke down and got
it. Gotcha. It gives you sight beyond sight, Mom.
Yeah,
that's right. Sight beyond.
It'll help me call all the other Thundercats.
I just say thunder, thunder, Thundercats, ho, and
when you could yell ho at the top of your lungs and nobody looked at you weird because it was either Thundercats or Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and everybody was just all along with you for it.
When Jesse holds up the Sword of Omen, he looks like Hacksaw Jim Duggan as a Thundercat, so it works out. So.
When I was a kid and I had that sword, if I was playing like animals, like if I was playing pretend that I was an animal, I always put a pair of underwear on my head because it would be like dog ears flopping around.
All right, folks. That was a good show.
They were clean.
So Thanos Copter brought up the Germs toys, and it's funny because when I was looking at for the trash bag bunch, I was thinking about these guys too. They came in little test tubes, and I just thought it was so cool that this toy came in a test tube because now I'm like a scientist. I got a test tube with a creature in it, And I do remember having I just looked them up, and there's like this green one with these long eyes. That was definitely the one that I had that got me my test tube. Oh man, I just thought that was cool. Because when I was like that little, I also wanted to be a scientist.
Figuratively speaking, mentioned Children's Palace. That was also a great toy store. So I remember they typically would have those parked right next to Chuck E. Cheese's as well.
Yep.
So I was like, oh yeah. Well, actually, back then it was Showbiz Pizza.
I remember Showbiz.
Yeah.
Weird Science had brought. I didn't know that at the time. I could claim I was cool and trying to recreate a hot chick from all the magazines, but in 1988, to me, a hot chick was Cheetara. So
mine was Sorceress.
And Sorceress.
Yeah, like. I wasn't a Tila guy. I don't know. I like the Sorceress.
I like Tila too. I didn't like her tight hair. That looked uncomfortable. Did I just make this awkward?
No, not at all.
Oz is like, I'll let them talk about the cartoon characters they liked. I'm just going to stay quiet.
I will. I have no problems. I had a crush on Tilly from American Tail.
Okay.
The
Irish mouse girl. I think that was Tilly. Yeah.
That movie made me cry. So I don't.
Me too.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's a good one, but it's yeah. It gives me the feels.
Yes.
So. Movies were just so much more fun back then too.
Right? Like you could have horrible things happen in movies and really dark premises without trying to teach you a lesson. It was just a good story.
Yeah.
And then there was garbage ones too, but you know.
Yeah, there was plenty of those.
Oh man. So anything that you guys are watching right now? Anything that you're enjoying on TV on the boob tube?
I actually don't watch a lot of TV these days because I'm so busy.
TV.
I'm trying to watch everybody on YouTube as much as I can. Like, you know, so many people are going live all the time, or they're posting videos, and I can't catch them all the time. So I'm watching replays, trying to make my own content and do live shows and come up with ideas for that. But today, you know, this upcoming weekend, Dawn's going to be coming up from Virginia. So I'm straightening up around here and everything. And while I'm doing that, I started playing Mandalorian and finally getting caught up on the new season. You know, I gotta say, I'm really digging it. I
think Curtis is an episode behind, so don't spoil the latest episode.
That's okay. I'm not at the. I'm not at.
Okay.
How many episodes are out right now?
I think 5. And I've seen through 4.
Okay, cool. Then we're on the same page, Curtis. So I can't spoil anything.
Oh, there you go.
Because I didn't catch that last episode yet.
Yeah.
But I've had that going while I was doing this today, and seeing the adventure and everything like that he's going through. Because I don't want to say too many details for other people who may not be caught up on it. But
I will say the first episode I was a little disappointed in. I thought it was a little slow. But the next 3 that I've seen, I've loved. Even the doctor scientist one, that episode.
It pulled me out. I was like, "What's going on here?"
It was a little kind of away from the story, but I still enjoyed it. Like it was still good. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that. I've been watching Ted Lasso, which is really good so far. And then I've been watching on, if you get it's the Angel app on your phone. I've been watching the show The Chosen, about Jesus and his journey and stuff, and that's been really good. So I'm like 2 seasons in on that, and it's really cool. I like the take that some of these actors did on these characters and stuff. The guy that plays Matthew, amazing job. So
yeah, I swear really cool. I've touched one of these things.
Okay.
And that definitely looks like a toy straight out of the 80s.
Like I feel like there was something like you turned that and it would play some sort of sound when you locked it into place or something. Like it was like connected to
would it have like
or something?
Is it a toy or is it an audio device or what is it?
My memory is telling me it's an audio device, but it was like something a kid would play with, like a Teddy Ruxpin or something like that. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I'm not.
I totally believe it.
It looks modified for this, but the thing I'm doing the mouse thing again. The round part in the middle with the 2 little white tabs, not the ones going up and down, but on the end of it, that kind of looks like the wrestling belt. Those I feel like I remember being something.
Well, because it almost looks like these needed to make a connection.
Yeah.
In order for it to play whatever, thing you were talking about.
Uh-oh. What memories are we trying to unlock here, guys? The munchie cheese. Yep.
Munchie cheese. I definitely had one of these.
I don't
know if Rick wanted me to
remember it.
Send this or share this live.
Didn't his thumb pop into his mouth too?
Yep. Yep.
Definitely did. That was like the feature of it.
Yeah.
Yep. Ted Lasso is great. I'm loving that.
Yeah, he's just the character is just so good. I love one thing is I love how great his heart is. Like he's just got this amazing heart, but then also the way that they are portraying like his anxiety issues. Like I just think they do a really good job with that. So in both of those instances, I just love the performance.
When you realize he's
here it is. Thanos sent that one picture, and I was just checking the picture my sister sent me right beneath that.
Okay.
I'm not the only Google genius in here. This is it.
Adding it in.
That's it.
Yeah. What is that?
Finally, I'm time to finish this one. first time I had the idea about doing this replica. So this is a replica of the actual thing. It doesn't actually say. Carol, can you shoot me the link that this came from?
Okay. But yeah, I swear I know somebody, like I didn't have it, but I know someone who did.
That's it though.
I feel like there was something else that, those silver parts like made a connection to something.
Right. They had something that plugged into it. I totally remember something like that. Damn.
Interesting. A good mystery to solve.
Jesse, you were saying something about with the
Ted Lasso. When they get to the first season, when they show him actually having his anxiety, like panic attack at the karaoke bar, I I was coming to grips with the fact that I was dealing with those things. So seeing that, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's me. There's the way like the ringing. I mean, it's a little dramatized, but like the way like I was like, I've never seen that portrayed in something as accurately as that did to how I feel when those things happen. And that just made me connect with it even more, especially when I realized that's what was happening in the first episode when he's having that press conference and the ringing is starting to go in his ears before Rebecca steps in and stops all the chatter or whatever.
And she starts to show that she's human because she's been kind of a jerk up until that point.
Yeah. I mean, and she still was, because, that whole first season that's that arc. But but she realizes what's happening to him. And I thought that was really cool to see that. And it helped me come to terms with some of my own stuff. So,
yeah, it's just a really good series. I love her character growth in that story. And it's really cool. So good show. If you haven't, Jesse, seen The Chosen, I would highly recommend it. It's a free app on there, and it's a good show.
I know they have like an animated show on there I want to check out, like the Wing Feather Saga or something like that. I keep seeing ads for that. That looks really cool.
Yeah, I've seen that too. So, but yeah, so that's kind of what I've been watching. And then I also, based on your recommendation, I was checking out Jericho, and one season in on that, and expecting to be disappointed at the end of the second season because it's going to end abruptly, apparently. So,
Wing Feathers on YouTube? Okay. Is that's the animated one, Mark? I feel like when I clicked on it, it took me to the Angel.
It's on the Angel app as well, but I think I think you can find it on YouTube.
That's cool.
So, but hey, anytime that you can get an app with movies on it, movies and shows for free, hey, that's a
right.
So.
It's like Tubi. It may not have the best, but it's got some winners on Tubi.
Okay, so that's meant to be a replica of the thing from the movie, not the original.
Gotcha. Got it.
And maybe I'm just hallucinating, and I have memories from a child. Like maybe I had precognitive dreams. Excuse me, about watching Firefly years later.
Maybe
it has happened. I've had dreams where it's mundane, ordinary stuff, and then something bad happens in the dream, and then months later I'll be sitting in the situation and something cues up and I remember. It's the whole deja vu thing. But in the dream, like I'm chewing on a pen like in a church service, and in the dream I chew on it and the pen breaks and leaks all over me. So in reality, I realize someone says something, I got the pen, I'm like, I've been here before. I just put the pen down, cap it, and don't touch the pen for the rest of the night. I don't get ink on me.
Gotcha.
And then there's usually some like world leader assassination at the end of the week. Well, not that I caused, it's just a weird coincidence in timing. So there's my freaky story for the night.
It can happen.
Well, I know we're just past the 2-hour mark. I know Oz, you kind of said before we went live, you were kind of planning on taking a little bit of a break, but do you have anything coming up or anything that's already on your channel that you want to promote?
Well, definitely go check out last night's episode. Again, it's always a long stream when I go live, but last night's episode of Ozstradamus Toyz live, introducing a new channel, Dawning of a Decade, which is going to be a great fun new channel that Dawn's doing, a complete retrospective look into the 80s or other decades. It's not just going to stick there, but we all love the 80s, as we've talked so in-depthly about tonight. Our love and passion. Ours is just mostly through toys, but she's going to be getting into everything. So, like, even if the toys aren't your thing, maybe it was 80s fashion or, you know, sports of the decade and stuff like that. She's going to be diving into everything. That's going to be great.
Cool.
Also, if you guys haven't caught all of our previous episodes of Legion's Class, hey, both of these guys are in episodes, by the way. Got that. You can always go catch the past episodes of that. And we're going to have another one coming up later this month. We're going to iron out some of those details shortly. But yeah, for the next week coming up, I'm actually going to be taking the week off from live streaming. Going to be a small minor announcement later this week that I'll be doing about some fun stuff coming up. But I've got to finalize all the details before I can talk more about that.
Okay.
But
cool.
Hopefully some more fun, cool stuff on the way.
Excellent.
Beautiful.
How about you, Curtis?
Well, we did a customizing studio today in the Wolf Den. Probably will look to do another one of those. Well, we may do one next Saturday. Sunday's Easter, so I don't know if we'll do one on Sunday, but we may look to do one on Saturday. We do have our new OffWorld YouTube channel and show that's kicking off, and the episode 0 is out there with myself and Jesse and Sean Scavarna and Matthew Dooch. You know, kind of just a show where we're going to talk about a lot of different things, shows, movies, just kind of different stuff. So that first episode's out there. Our actual first live episode will be on April 14th, I believe. Let me see. Is that correct? Do I have that correct?
Whatever that Friday is, I think.
Yes, April 14th will be our first live episode. So if you want, join us live there. If you look up on YouTube and put in "Let's Go Offworld," it'll pull up, and please subscribe and look forward to seeing anybody there when we go live on that. So that should be a lot of fun. And I was on the Saturday Day Live yesterday, which is on Hedgehog Action YouTube channel. So you can check me out there. And then other than that, I'll be back here next week where we've got Alexander Deshaw with us, master of, all things Dio related with his wells and his fountains and a Castle Grayskull Dio that he did. And now he's got these cool horse stables for the Mythic Legion horses. And yeah, just some really cool stuff. So hopefully he's got some new neat stuff to show us next week.
Yes. Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to Alex. I had him on one of the episodes last year, so it'll be cool to have him back on and see where things have. I mean, obviously we talk to him on a regular basis, but to get to chat a little bit more and all that, that'll be a good time.
Yep. What about you? You got a Mythic Minute this week?
Yep. Not sure what I'm doing yet. I think I've gotten through all the races of Mythos, so I don't want to. There's probably a couple characters I missed, but yeah, I have something Thursday night at 9 in the Cabal. And I'm gonna try to start getting focused on my book and actually making my Patreon page worthwhile for my 2 supporters. So
gotcha.
Guys, make sure you sign up for Jesse's Patreon, man.
There you go.
If you've got the extra help out, please sign up and join and follow along with our man Jesse here. Help give him all the extra support we can.
Absolutely. Currently there's $1, a $5, and a $10 tier, and the $10 tier you get to hear me read chapters of my book live, like about every other week for about an hour and a half. So, yes, Greg, I think I went over Sir Uxak when I did. Yes. I don't know, man. I don't know if I did Sir Uxak. Because
we've covered it. We've talked about it.
We've talked about it. I don't know if
talk about it again when it comes out. Because
I don't know if I did it on Mythic Minute. I don't. I think is what he's asking.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Thank you, Thanos. Thanos says he's subbed to Let's Go Offworld. So thank you.
And hey, and I just want to say this because Oz, I know you said you're trying to catch up with everybody. I appreciate, and I know Curtis does too. we appreciate everybody that comes out and supports the show, whether you're watching it live or on the replay or any subscribe, like that means a lot to us. There's so much. This is a growing community, and everybody just keeps doing their stuff. It's hard to keep up with everybody, but we're all here rooting for each other, I think.
I do want to point out real quick, like after the show each week, Jesse does a recap on Instagram where he posts kind of pictures from the show, and especially the photos that we shared on the shelf selection, and he tags all those different artists in there. So if you see somebody in that shelf selection section that you want to follow, look for that post from Jesse. That's a good way to just find those people and either tell them what you think about their art or even subscribe to their channel. So look for that on Jesse's Instagram, because that comes out weekly, and I think that's just a nice little way to recognize those folks for some great work that they've done.
Yep. Yeah. Just want to spread the love. It's fun doing it here, but getting to tag them. I don't tag the people in Facebook. I share it to both platforms, but I tag them when I have their Insta handle. And if they are a Facebook page and not an Instagram handle, I'll tag them if it allows me. So
beautiful.
Can always check that out. And I tag the host and the next guest, or the current guest and the next week's guest as well. So
Brick's ready to go OffWorld as well.
How many pre-orders happen before we get Necronominus? But I don't know. I don't math very well, especially tonight. I'm surprised I'm still talking at a.
If you're talking math we need and mythic, I think you're probably saying, I would say 5 or 6.
I mean, math is the devil's language, so I don't speak that very well.
I'm patiently waiting.
There you go.
Those. And well, now I just found out I got to go find myself a centaur too.
I am patiently waiting for everything except for tactics, which I am impatiently waiting for.
Fair enough. I don't think you have to do that to do what I think you want to do. I think if they didn't already know they could do it, the fact that Joe put that together with the real pieces, I would not be surprised if we see reuse of that Conobus body to make a skeletal centaur.
I mean, you don't tool that piece to use it for one centaur. We're going to see that piece again.
I just really want like my giant skeleton army, and what better? Oh man. And then he mentioned, just the mentioning of the fact that they couldn't put the wings on it because they were permanently glued to the test of Necronominus. I was like, oh man, it gets even better than that.
I think we'll get a skeleton centaur at some point. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I hope so. I cannot wait for that.
Well, it's been great having you on, Oz. Appreciate it. Love the stuff that you've been putting out. So keep up the great work. Definitely take the much needed and deserved time off this week and enjoy yourself and time with yourself and family. And we can't wait till you put out some more content for us. So
yeah, and folks, make sure you go subscribe to Ozstradamus Toyz. Make sure you spell it right. It's right there on the screen.
It gets a little tricky, but you guys can figure it out.
Yeah, you follow him over there. Follow him on Facebook. You'll find the links, or Instagram, and follow him for all the awesome stuff.
Cool. Awesome stuff.
Oz, we're gonna bounce you out here and wrap up. If you want to hang on for a second, or if you need to take off, that's cool. But thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
It's been a pleasure, guys. Thank you for having me.
See you, man.
See you.
All right, folks. Thank you for joining us and bearing with me through my completely awkward mouth sounds at the beginning of the show.
You made it through.
We made it.
You were a little discombobulated at the beginning, but then things settled down and it was a good show.
I'm in a regular combobulated.
Yeah, you're completely combobulated at this point.
Well, on that note, I think let's take us out of here. Curtis, thanks for being here tonight. I'll see you next week and, wherever in the webs between now and then. For all of you out there watching, thanks for joining us on the shelf. And as always, what's on your shelf?